I don't know yet.
A lot of times,
Yeah.
write down on paper what you think will hold their discretion also.
Okay.
Jamie? Hey, Jamie.
You go exactly on time, huh?
We got your cell phones turned off?
No?
Okay, it is 6:30. We will call the April 11th, 2022 City Commission meeting order. Give Chelsea a second to get back here. Okay, first thing is approve the March 14th March 14th minutes. What I understand, there's a correction.
Right. Yeah, on the one there wasn't a second mention, but Chelsea did have it in her minutes, so that she did have that, so, or in her notes.
Yep.
Right? Yep.
That was to forego the reading of the ordinance 157.
Right.
So we added, seconded by Doctor.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I move we approve the minutes as corrected.
Second. Discussion? Colin?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Okay, approve the March 17th special meeting minutes.
Approve the meeting minutes from March 17th.
I'll second it.
Make a motion. Sorry.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay, you got February financials. Do you have a chance to review those?
Yep.
Any questions on the financials? I'll move to approve the February financials.
Second.
No discussion, Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. March financials. Did we get a chance to review those?
Make a motion to approve March financials. I'll second that.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Mark Lum? Where you at? Well, first off, it's waiver of fees for the Lions Carnival.
Yep. The Lions Club had two events. We did a breakfast fundraiser for the Meals on Wheels. And then they organized a bake sale for that day as well. And then our other event, if you don't mind me combining them both, was the Lions Carnival. The Lions Carnival, we made about approximately just over $2,000, and $1,900 of that money went to the Washburn Youth Group.
Okay, that's fine. It's about the waiver of fees though, so that's why you're here.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want to know.
Well, we got a super long meeting, so we're trying to move it along.
So I make a motion to waive the fees for the Lions.
I'll second it. Okay, they already had this, you know.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I just, since they're asking for it here, make it official.
Okay. I personally have a problem with waiving fees after the event, has happened. I mean, that's why you come here and ask for, you know, you have the fees waived. That's my take on it anyway. Did we have a second? Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So we can discuss it.
So I guess I gotta ask the question, why didn't they come to us prior?
I was going to explain that, but I got
Okay.
cut off.
Okay.
So, at the time, to make sure that we had it, I went to the city auditor. I think actually Erica was the one that put it on the schedule. And then to hold it, I just went ahead and wrote a check for the event, just to make sure it's, and then my Lions Club group asked me, since I'm the president, but, you know, and they said, well, that's always been waived before in the past. And so they said, you know, will you go before the commission and ask to see if they'll still waive it for us? Like I said, we made just over $2,000, $1,900 of that went to the Dollars for Scholars, youth groups, Washburn Ambulance, all the people that helped us run that event. And then, like same thing with the breakfast fundraiser that we did, we gave that money to Meals on Wheels for all that they do to support.
I think the question was, you know, why didn't you come and ask for, you know, the fees to be waived?
Well, I've talked to the Legion, and my view is we need to pay something towards that kitchen because of all the money that the city has stuck into it, the Legion has stuck in it. I've always told them there's a percentage that should automatically, I don't think anyone should have part of that waive for the kitchen. Personally, so you can keep it stocked up and everything like that. But they're asking for the use of the building, not so much the kitchen. Does that make sense?
Well, I get that. I guess the question was, why didn't you come in and before it? I mean, wasn't that the question, Colin?
Yeah, I just, you know, that's why, I mean, everybody can do it after the fact, but I
Yeah.
kind of got a problem with, you know, coming in after the fact, you know?
Because I personally didn't feel it was that big of an issue, but a number of our Lions Club members said it is. And then of all the money that we give back to the community, that's not only, you know, it helps the city, I'm sure, but this is money that we can donate back to the community. And we need funds too to keep our organization up and running.
Anybody else?
Okay, I guess, just to clarify again or reiterate, you know, I guess how this turns out today is we'll see, but my expectations are that going forward, you know, I mean, the rules are there for us to follow, everybody. I would expect that everybody follow those rules, and if you want waiver of fees or, you know, bring it to the commission prior, not after.
Well, normally, yes, but...
So was it I'm having a hard time understanding, Mark, so then, did you guys just assume it was gonna get waived, so you intentionally didn't do it beforehand, or?
No, I didn't think it was going to be an issue with our club, so I went ahead and wrote the checks out of my checkbook. And then the club said, well, we should try to see, because we've always got them waived before. It was a mistake on my part.
So you didn't think the club would have an issue with paying the fees then?
Well, we've got a lot of conservative people in our group.
Just trying to understand.
And I don't blame them.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to waive the fees for the Lions Carnival. Colin?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna vote no. Okay, you need to come beforehand, that's my opinion, so, okay.
Sure.
All right, so now you're here for the community garden?
Yep. After visiting with Larry and about the project that's going on down at the water treatment facility, there might be a concern having the community garden down there.
Absolutely.
Yep. So anyways, I visited with Matthew and then you, and then I called down and talked to Eric, asked him what he knew of the footprint and everything, and he said everything is kind of unsure yet.
Mhm.
But we had visited and say this community garden, we have right now, we have 4 plots. And visiting with 82S, he said the end 4 plots could possibly be in the way, but the rest of it looks like it should be okay.
Well, they can't answer that
Well,
question.
right,
You know, so.
but he said just, so anyways, so my thought is if we move the fabric, move the dirt on that end one, and I would like to just put 2 plots, one on each end here, and then possibly would be out of the way, but if something were to come up to where it needs to be moved, it's gonna need to be moved, but I'm just trying to be proactive with the community garden down there, because I've had a number of people already contact me with the grocery prices and everything going on, that they definitely want the community garden again. So I'm listening to the public, and I'm also trying to listen to engineering and city, but nobody can tell me yes or no, but I guess I'm trying to be proactive and just moving those 4 on the end, so possibly we are gonna be out of the way. Instead of having somebody plant a garden and then those 4 plots get tore out.
I think with the uncertainty and the amount for a staging site, for boring, for everything else that's gonna happen this summer, especially from a safety standpoint, my opinion is the least amount of people we have down there, the better.
Right.
And we don't want our contractors to have to beware of gardeners or whatever you might say, to have to work around that. Not that I'm against the community garden, but for this year, I think we would be taking a risk safety-wise. And we also don't have, like you called it, the footprint. We really don't know what the footprint's going to be. And so, my opinion, I can't speak for the rest of them, would be that it's going to be a construction site, and that's got to take priority over it, so.
Well, our community garden is fenced in, so there's not like people,
That doesn't matter, it's probably gonna
They
be.
still got to get to the garden,
Yeah.
so. and
yeah, but there's a batting cage right there too.
And there may not be softball there either, we don't know. There may not be soccer there this year either, we don't know. It all depends how things progress, so. There's just so many variables that we don't know. And I would hate to see us get tied to, safety issues and everything else over access.
But you're saying you don't know, but.
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I'd love for you guys to have a garden there, but I couldn't vote to say, yeah, go ahead and have it, because I wouldn't want to hamstring our engineers or our contractors or anything else,
Right.
or put the public in danger.
Right.
Because of what's going to be going on there, so. And that's,
Yeah.
If I may,
So are you talking, you're gonna not allow softball or
That'll be
pee-wee
the-
because there's a concession stand there?
no, I just said there may not be softball, there may not be soccer. We don't know yet. It all depends how this project progresses. So, but we're talking about gardens now.
See, we took that land back, because it's gonna be a staging area. And we don't know how much
Right.
is gonna be used, how much isn't. We can't say, yeah, you can use this part, you can't use that part. We don't know how much is gonna be used up. It could be a lot, it could be minimal, we don't know. And I think it's a risk just to even allow that.
Yeah. Well, you guys don't even know the time frame yet either, right?
Well, your gardens aren't going to grow overnight though, are they?
No, but
Aaron?
talking with.
We're gonna know a lot more on the preliminary plans and footprint of the water plant in the
Yeah.
next 4 to 6 weeks. That's where we're planning to have like a preliminary
Sure.
design review meeting with the city. So it's gonna be a little bit, about another 4 to 6 weeks where we'll see that. But we opened bids on the pipeline project that McLean Sharon is doing, starting in that area as well.
Yep.
And we're looking at hopefully starting construction in the next month or so.
Okay.
So we'll know more there,
Sure.
once that kicks off, but, and then, like, I don't know if Tim said it, or Larry said it, or Colin, but that whole area is gonna kind of be under, staging area,
Sure.
for materials and equipment and eventually construction, so, I guess from my standpoint, I'd hate to see people plant stuff ready to do the work, moving things, if it's gonna end up not being able to be used anyways.
Right.
So that's kind of what I would say. The one thing when we talked on the phone that I did say to you is, the closer you are away from the water plants, you know, towards, closer to the softball field, would be better. But just because I say it's close, the closer to there, the better, doesn't mean that it's necessarily not gonna be affected, so.
Correct. Yep.
That's what I would say from my standpoint.
Okay, so.
What I
for-
would like to interject here is, let's not just get hung up on that location.
Right.
Is there some other place for the next year or two until all this subsides, that we can just,
I would definitely,
you know, I
I'm
don't
willing
know.
to look into it.
You know, I'm just thinking
Because
some
I'm here
other
to
city
work with you
areas.
guys, not,
Right.
I know there's areas we can move, but do they have water, irrigation? That I don't know.
Right.
But, you know, it's something to look at, I think.
well, I agree, but I think we should just put it on hold right now and not make any decisions until we have more of a certain idea.
I also voiced out my concern about it as being on the park board as well. I totally agree with the commission that it's not a very good idea. I voiced my opinion about that a couple of months ago. About a month ago, I said I don't think it's a good idea. I talked to Judy Beaudry about it and expressed that I didn't think it was a good idea. She agreed. That's just what I found out by talking. I talked to you, Mark, and I explained my concerns, and just saying as a member of the park board, being on the park board, I don't think it's a good idea we do it. That's just my opinion.
Well, I appreciate your opinion, but everyone has an opinion, and I think it's good to have your own opinion.
Okay, that's his opinion, that's good.
Do we need a motion, Larry, to
Yeah.
go for doing this, or just no
I
action?
want to make a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That there's no community garden this year in very restricted use of the staging area due to the ongoing construction until further notice.
I second it.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
We haven't voted yet, so.
Can we say if they find a different location, just down there, we're not gonna have one for sure?
That's what we're talking about.
Right,
The whole
exactly.
staging area. and-
Yeah.
Well, the way you made the motion, no community garden.
Yeah.
So
if-
let's.
So
No,
then if there's-
no, it's no community garden and very restricted use of the staging area. That's
Down
my
there, yeah.
motion.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I just wanna make sure that's clear, that
Yeah,
if there's
of the
another
staging area.
location, we can still
yeah,
think about
and
it.
along with that, any temporary use would have to be approved by the city.
Right, it would have to come back here.
Well, I just wish you guys would have an open mind about this until you guys know more, instead of having your mind made up with the first thought. I mean, before you guys have even talked to engineering to get a decision, you guys have already made up your minds.
Well, you know what happens when there's construction?
Oh, yeah, I know,
It's
that's why
terrible.
I want to be proactive down
Well,
there,
yeah.
if we do anything. But you guys seem like you've already
Well,
got
Mark,
your ducks in a
let's
row and you
look at
have
it,
it
let's
planned.
look at it this avenue. Say we decide to just, okay, kind of hold it, and now spring is coming, so if people go out and they start planting stuff 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, and then, you know, a month from now, they're carrying for this stuff,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden they get shut down, I'd be more upset at that point.
Right,
So-
I don't have a problem with putting it on hold. But you guys already have made up your mind before your engineering plans have even come to light in your bids.
So,
You're putting the,
Okay,
but that's all right, you guys have made up your mind already, so.
so, Colin?
Aye.
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 Yes. Yes. Mark, also, I was wondering, why did you cut those trees down?
Because you guys don't maintain.
I mean, those are
the
city
at all.
trees, you know, they're not yours to cut down, so.
You wanna look at those other trees that are in there, if the city would take care of their property like they want the rest of the town to take care of their property.
Okay, you know what, you had no right to cut those trees down, so, okay.
We trim your guys' branches all the time when they're.
Okay, let's
when
move
they're
on.
using.
Let's
We're
move
done.
on.
We cleaned up that, or I should say,
DMBW?
Chris
Mark,
cleaned up
come on
that
up.
whole area along the trail. That's all your property.
Okay,
Hello, gentlemen.
Mark Troutier, DMBW.
I'm Mark Troutier from DMBW Railroad. We have a opportunity,
to transload some fly ash down on our siding here down by the elevator. Lafarge will be the recipient of the fly ash. It'll be trucked from Leland Olds. 2 to 4 trucks a day. There will be some days where there won't be any, but they don't know when or exactly when that would happen. Be Monday through Friday during normal business hours. In there. I guess we're asking the city for permission. You know, I know we've been down this road before, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was, and it was kind of a tough road to hoe. There was a gentleman that stood up. I had most of this room was against me that night, and I had a gentleman stood up, and I guess made one of the best comments for this is you know, we do a lot of business in this town, and when the fire department has come and asked, we've given, and we do between Krause's, the golf course, Cenex, Napa. I mean, we do a lot of business in this town, and so I guess we're asking the town to allow us to do some business here.
Where would this exactly be?
Right down by the elevator down here.
In containers or?
It would come in on truck. They have a mitigated blower, so there wouldn't be any dust. Blow it into the rail car, and then it will go out to the north to Max.
How many year contract are you looking at?
An ongoing, unless economic conditions change, this would be a long-term ongoing deal.
Is there a side track there, or are you on the main track?
We have siding. You know, and I understand, you know, the city's concern on this. I guess I understand some of it. I don't agree with all of it. The trucks will be using the truck route. What we have here in town, that siding, they don't exist. And so there's very few places where we can do this. And so currently we've been just using it as a little bit of a passing track and things like that. But there's some, you know, economic benefit to us, to Lafarge, to all that. When you asked about trucking, they haven't hired a trucking company yet. What they told me is it would be their preference is to have somebody local. They couldn't tell me that for sure, for 100%, it'd be somebody from Washburn. But it's going to go out on competitive bids. But it'd be somebody that would be relatively local. You know, they should be stopping at Cenex, buying some snacks, you know, doing that. So there will be some generation of some business.
So which road would you use to get into
The truck
dumping?
route. Truck route.
Truck road?
Yeah. So it's at 6th, come in and then make the loop around, or I guess if you know, that's really open for discussion, if we wanted in one road and back out the same road, or, you know, it's open. I mean, you know,
Yeah, there's room to turn around down there.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, then you said?
Yes.
No Saturdays or Sundays?
No. So I've been told Monday through Friday, and the Lafarge rep, when I found out, when I spoke to Larry on Thursday, and he said they had to do it to get on the schedule noon Friday, and I called him. He's in central Wisconsin, and he said, I just can't react that fast to get there, so.
When the trains are in, they wouldn't be running in town
No,
overnight,
correct.
right?
So basically how it would work is there'd be somewhere between 5 to 10 cars, what we call on spot, that would be sitting there. And so I mean, you know, as much as we come through town here, way I see it would happen is if there's 2-3 loads and they haven't billed, meaning that they, you know, going to their destination, we'd stop, probably pick up those loads, take them out of here. So it would kind of, like we do now to some extent, constantly stop and dropping off a couple cars, picking up a couple cars and going through. That would be how I'd anticipate it to run.
Would you redo this every year, or would you take a long-term contract on it then?
You know, honestly, I can't answer that question, and I guess I'm a little bit apologize, because that's kind of a basic question that I should have found out and didn't. To my knowledge, they're looking for a long-term, ongoing type thing. We didn't talk any time frame. In my mind, it's something that would probably happen long-term or go on. If the city wanted to go and do this for, you know, a year, 2 years and reevaluate it at that time, I think that would certainly be more than reasonable.
And this goes north then, you said?
Yeah, it's going out CP. So they're on the BN, but they have other markets where they can take this fly ash and that BN can't get to, so it'd go at CP.
How soon did you guys start?
Fairly soon, I would think sometime May probably. They're looking to get this going as soon as they can.
You would have to have a decision for sure by our May meeting, then, or you gotta have...
I would like to. You know, I understand where you guys are at, but on their end, they need to make decisions because, so this fly ash product, it sells from basically when they can start pouring cement until October. There probably wouldn't be a ton going out in the wintertime, but I would imagine that there would be some. They own a set of rail cars that could be going to the destination, sitting there loaded for the rest of the winter. I would think there would be some times, you know, and I can't speak to this 100%, but just my knowledge in the business, December, January, February is probably going to be pretty light, depending on what they have for storage, because they only have so many cars. And so once those cars got full, I would think it would stop here, or there wouldn't be any trucks coming in.
And if we would limit your route to coming down 6 and go back so that you stay off the business district?
Yeah, I don't see that to be a problem. I drove through there, and I came from the north today, and I drove through there, and I don't really foresee that be a problem. If that's something that the city wants and that's a stipulation, they'll just have to figure it out and do it.
Yeah.
So
Speed limit would be a primary factor too.
So one of my arguments last time, because somebody brought that up, speed and weight. And it's no different when I drive on 83 out here. I'm embarrassed to say that I've been picked up a handful of times. It's my fault. These trucks aren't above the law. If they think they're speeding or they're overweight, they should be stopped and picked up. You know what I mean? And it's to me, it's like hunting and trespassing. You want to keep people from trespassing off your land, you pinch one or two and the word gets out and nobody, you know what I mean? And the same thing here. I would think that if it will be one trucking outfit, if one or two of the drivers get picked up for speeding and they know that, hey, I mean, I love when I'm running down 83 and I see out-of-state plates come sailing through town because I know they're probably going to get nailed, you know? There's advantage to being local and them coming through, and so...
One of the things that was brought up last time was, you know, like a safety concern with the kids, because it's a main route to like the ballpark and stuff, you know, which, you know, enforcement would be probably, you know, the big factor there, and really keeping your eyes open. You know, and the other one is also the, you know, the cost of maintenance on the roads is another big one. You know, if we're looking at long-term, you know, let's just say you do 3 loads a day, 5 days a week for a whole year. That's like almost 800 loads a year, you know.
And, you know, you and I talked about if there was some sort of per truck surcharge that, you know, was reconciled monthly or however we want to do it. I mean, this is not like a get rich quick kind of thing. I mean, there probably can be some absorption and some of that handled. It can't be, you know, an astronomical amount per truck, though. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And I get it. You know.
The only bad part is, you know, when it comes time to rebuild, that it's the residents that stuck with the bill. So, you know, without, and in my opinion, without a lot of benefit to the city. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'm not ready to make a decision on that. I'd rather that we move to table it and do some research on this.
that would be a good idea.
And then I would also like to know whether you would be open to should we go with it to a shorter term instead of a long term?
Sure.
To see, because it's a lot harder to get out of a long term if
Sure.
things aren't going well for us than if we have a 6 month or a year or whatever, see how it's going type thing. I would if I would vote in favor, I would rather see something like that.
I'll go to them, and I don't, on the outside, I don't see that there should be an issue with like a year type deal. 6 months is probably going to be the majority of the business can move anyway, but it gets tough for them and us to make those decisions to put those assets in a place, and then 6 months from now, it doesn't work and it goes away. The year thing, I can't imagine that they wouldn't, be acceptable to that.
So when you buy fly ash, you buy it by the ton.
Yeah. So
Would a percentage of that ton be a fair cost amount then?
I can't answer that. I'd want to talk to them about, because we're in the transportation business, so we're the middleman.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I don't
I know.
have a clue.
Yeah.
Margins, they maybe make a lot of money on this, they might not make any. I really can't answer that with any
Okay. Just
sort of
asking.
authority. Yeah, no, I know, I understand where.
But I'd like more time to check things out, and I appreciate the fact of, like your donations to the community and your business and the community, but, we have like every city, we have a lot of specials.
Sure,
that
sure. No, and I
we're
understand that.
paying on, and even though it is a truck route, there will still be deterioration
Sure.
on the streets because of it.
Sure.
And streets are expensive.
Sure, no, I get that.
So I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you supporting our town, but I just am not ready to make it. I can't speak for everybody, but at this point, I'm not ready to make a decision on it right now.
So we have a motion to table it, to a second?
Yeah, if
So-
you could, just add too, if you could get a little more finite answer on, okay, exactly, I mean, not exactly, but kind of get is it going to be, like say, May through October specifically,
Yep.
anything in the winter?
I
Get a
believe
little
it'll
better
be
idea.
year-round, but the majority of it will happen that April, May to October. I mean, that's when it's the busiest.
But then to look at, give me a
Okay.
rough idea. on
And what
number
I'll
of
do
trucks.
is if you table this, I can come back for the May meeting, and he's been more than willing to come and to talk and to visit, and I can
May 9th.
have him come out, May 9th?
Yep.
Okay.
So anyway, we have a motion, we have a second.
Yep.
Did you second?
Yep, you did second.
Yeah, I'll second.
Oh, you did, okay, all right.
I am now.
Yeah, I knew nobody was seconding, so, any discussion on the motion? Colin?
Yes.
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 Yes, okay.
Okay.
So we'll table it and go back.
So I'll get in contact and then set up for the next meeting, and I'll see if I can have him here. I don't know why he can't, but they've been more than willing to want to come and visit and do that, so.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, we'll do that.
You might wanna, when it comes close to May 9th, you just get ahold of Chelsea, make sure that.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
let me know for sure that you'll be here. and I'll
Yeah,
get
I
the
will.
agenda.
I will. I'll do that to confirm that. I
Okay.
mean, for sure, I'll be here at a minimum.
Okay.
I can't speak
Okay.
for him, for his schedule though.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Board. Yeah, thank you guys.
Mr. Richard.
Hang on, guys.
Hold it.
Terrible now that you're here.
Right? Well, I'm here to discuss some of the city property that's by the house that I'm purchasing, which is 214 3rd Street here in Washburn along Main. I'm purchasing that house, and upon having it surveyed, I found out that part of the property that's along Main Street is actually owned by the city. It's my understanding that the property has been maintained by the person I'm buying the house from.
That's for family.
I guess is what I'm asking is if it's a possibility that I could have that property being bought from the city and have it surveyed.
It's that whole rectangle.
Yeah, it's just that piece right next to
That little
Main.
squiggly line.
Yeah.
All the yellow.
Okay.
This whole thing is in there? or
The whole
just
thing,
this?
no, the
And
whole
this
thing.
area, it's this square
Oh, it's
area
just
is
a-
what he's having surveyed. And then it would just all go to
Look right
include
there.
this as well.
This yellow here,
Oh, okay.
where all the trees are.
It's basically worthless to the city.
Well, that's prime property.
Prime, yeah.
Prime.
It's on the hillside.
Colin and I would like to put it on bids.
$500 a foot.
Wildlife area.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, it's worthless property, I'm sorry.
And you have your surveyor.
Yep, Aaron went over to survey it today, and he did plan it all out, and he did speak with Dave Lundell on the chance that you guys decide to go forward with it. Dave has been, he's talked to Dave about it, so he'll be, all you'd have to do is just go and say, we're transferring this over. I'll be happy to purchase it from the city,
when he surveys this in, he's going to include this in with then the new portion of this square, correct?
Yeah, which it should all be surveyed as one lot now. 'Cause
Right.
That's part of what we're
Okay,
having
perfect.
to do. Yeah. So we didn't want to. I can't purchase the house until we finish the surveying because that property when I went to go purchase it was on platted land.
Right.
So it really held up the purchasing. So I wanted to make sure before we did anything. I spoke to you guys and we went through the proper hoops. I didn't want to just have it surveyed, and nobody really at the time seemed to know whose property it was. I didn't want to just take the liberty of, hey, that's mine. I don't like to assume things. So, and then digging into it earlier, I talked to Aaron, and he was mentioning to me that it did belong to the city.
What's a fair price on it then?
I will make a motion to sell this property to Mr. Richards for $50, with the expectation that all costs are covered by him. The survey, the recording, everything covered by him.
Is there any specials or anything on there that was ever put on there?
Yeah.
That would all be up to him. All that.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
And lunch.
I don't know what's on there.
Lunch either way, right?
It's actually kind of a right of way of the street, so,
How big of an area is it?
well, I think. We have a second first.
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
How about you buy pizza for that too?
Whatever you need.
Pizza, yeah.
I mean, I guess my thing is either way, whether I get it or not, I'll probably always maintain it. I know the gal that's lived there for 35 years has been always the one that maintained it. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect me at all. I mean, it's a hill. I mean, the only difference is the city would be responsible for the tree upkeep and the mowing of the grass, but, I mean.
It's all on a hillside, so.
Get it on the tax roll.
What's that?
We'll get it on the tax roll.
That's right.
Yeah.
So is there any other questions, comments? Colin?
Yes.
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 I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, guys, appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night.
Yep.
Take care, buddy.
Mr. Walters. I'm assuming that's you?
Yes, sir.
Not sure what you're wanting, but.
You have 3 parcels of land on Heritage Heights.
Okay.
They're undeveloped.
Can you show me where you're talking here?
They would be,
So all these are undeveloped.
right, I'm sorry, if you got more than, it would be 9, 8, and 7 are the 3 I'm interested
These
in.
are the middle ones there?
Yeah.
Okay. You know where that is? Okay, so you're interested in purchasing these, is what
Yeah.
and I guess what's your intention,
To build.
build a house there? or-
Yeah.
Okay, there's no services there at this time?
No water,
There's no water or sewer there at this time?
nothing.
Yeah, it hasn't been developed past this stage.
Gotcha. That's why the dirt's sitting there, okay?
That's why everything here, yeah, there's no pavement there either.
Yeah,
so,
exactly, so.
Yeah, this is where where everything stops, right there, so.
I'm gonna have to find some buyers for the rest of these to build out that road, because I guess we're gonna be responsible for it.
Well, we're actually gonna start a committee trying to figure out a way to develop some of these, water, sewer, and streets.
Okay.
Because you really can't build on them the way they sit. So, matter of fact, we're gonna be discussing that a little bit later in the meeting here, setting up a committee for that. We have some preliminary figures, but they're pretty high to complete all that work, so.
And we need to do it have it done all in one piece rather than individual properties. Otherwise, you're gonna get a hodgepodge of stuff over there.
Yeah.
So it has to be all put in at one time, not separate.
I totally understand.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe, we could, maybe get a hold of you once we maybe figure something out and keep you informed on what's going on, or possibly.
Well,
Or
Well, I was
or what's
thinking-
your idea, I guess?
Well, I'm not in a hurry to build, but I just thought while it was brought to my attention they're available, I could go in and buy them, and I know there's going to be expenses down the road when you guys figure out what you need to do, and,
Okay, well, that's always an option, I guess.
and that way you know that you got somebody's on the hook already, so I just thought this would be a good time for me to,
Would you purchase all of them then?
yes. Or just those three.
Just those three?
Yes.
You realize that dirt pile doesn't stay on there, though?
You got to charge me for the dirt, okay.
Well, no, we'll leave some dirt there, but it doesn't all stay, because that all came from in there.
It's worth a try, right?
No, I don't mind you removing the dirt, actually.
Well, we would leave some, yeah.
Well, we can move it from one lot to the next lot.
That's what I thought you guys had been doing, actually.
Yeah, we're trying to find a place to put it, actually. So,
Well, I think, Larry, like you said, we talked about putting a committee together to look at developing this. We've been looking at other lots in the community too, to see what could possibly, build houses on, because we have no lots right now. So we're probably a little premature in selling those to you, I hope you understand. Because we want to, like Don said, we want to make sure that when we put the water and sewer in, that it's all done right, streets and everything all tied together and that type of thing. So instead of skipping across and doing it.
See, there's no electricity, there's nothing there now. So all that has to go in before anything is done with that.
and that would all get special out. So,
Right.
Yeah, it could be pretty high, so. I hate to have you buy something with the expectation, or not knowing what the expectation is, So,
Well, if I buy it later, I'm gonna pay for it then too. So
That's true.
It's either now.
Either or, you're gonna
Yes,
have
now-
to, either or, you're gonna have to shove out the money, you know?
You just got a guguaranteed taxpayer or, a person is gonna, one that's already
Right.
that's already on the hook.
Yep.
Is all I'm saying, and I would like to get in on the ground level. That's
Okay.
why I'm here now.
So,
Well, I guess my opinion is I'm not against selling them to you, but I just think we're a little premature right now, so.
That's fine.
Yeah, but we'll certainly keep you in the loop because we're looking at this pretty quick, so.
and actually, since we didn't really know why you were coming, it should at least wait for at least another month, so we can kind of look into it a little bit,
Right.
so.
So you're not gonna take my down payment, I take it.
No problem. Don't put your flag on top of that dirt pile.
I'll put my stake there.
There you go. You can put a stake up there.
Just watching these Aussie dig for gold.
That's what I was just gonna say. And then put your little flag on the stake.
No, but thank you guys, I don't wanna waste any
Does
more.
Chelsea have your information, or?
Did you give Erica your phone number before?
I believe so, but I would make sure I do that now, or give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to just write your phone number
Yeah,
on here,
well-
that way I have it.
Well, at least we'll look into it a little bit, and then we can get a hold of you or whatever.
So we'll make you broadcast it to everybody.
Right there, speaking on Third Street, isn't there, you guys own another lot at the end of Main? Where you make that right on Third? And there's another lot down there, a vacant lot, somebody told me you guys own that too.
On Third?
No, on Main
On
Street.
Main.
Or on Main?
Yeah. No, not, excuse me.
What?
Second.
1 second.
It's second, it's right at the corner
Oh,
of Third.
down
is-
there.
Yeah,
Oh, way down on the end, the dead end there?
exactly.
I believe there's a dedicated street there that would have to be, vacated. That's a good part of it, because we looked at that the other day. Matt and I did, so, but that's a possibility. We could look into that too. So.
You could be a land baron here pretty soon.
All right.
Well, you guys don't put anything on the market, what's available, I mean, I didn't know what.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why we're getting this committee together.
That's why we're trying to form this stuff.
There are some lots across from the Catholic Church. You saw those, didn't you?
Those are available?
Yeah, it's,
That
there's-
one big one.
Yeah, there's some townhouses, and then, like Chelsea said, there's a pretty good-sized lot across from the Catholic Church, across the Catholic Church, a little farther north. It's a pretty good-sized lot, but there's a realtor sign on that too, so.
Oh, well, you guys don't own it anymore?
Oh,
Never
Yeah,
did.
we never did.
Oh.
Never did.
The school owned it at one time, but the city's never owned
thank you for
Thank
coming.
you,
sir.
Yeah. Memorial Hall electric panel, Mike?
Thank you. I'll be in contact with you.
When they were updating the kitchen, they asked to update the electrical room and kind of bring up the fuse boxes to code, get rid of the screw-in fuses. So I asked a couple people for bids on it, and Weber's kindly, put in a bid, and Denise, put in a bid. So we're just kind of wondering what your thoughts on doing the upgrade on that boxes. When I went through the bids, one had two 400 amp breakers boxes, and the other one only had one. And I was wondering what the difference between the two are on the bids.
Whoever wants to speak can come on.
I included just one 400 amp panel.
Do you want to come up to the table, please? Thank you. Have a chair.
I looked at it with Darryl Metzger,
Okay.
and he didn't say anything about two panels. What he wanted me to do was clean up all the old fuse boxes, get rid of them, put what I can down in the gutter, because the gutter's gonna have to stay. There's a newer panel on the right-hand side that can stay. The little panel down low, the little spready panel, will get moved up into the new, all the circuits will go up into the new one. The 200 or the 150 amp fuse disconnect that goes upstairs, I believe, is what it was labeled. Now that, at first I thought, well, I could put another, like a 200 amp breaker disconnect in there, which is kind of redundant because we already have it coming off of a breaker in the big panel.
Okay.
Then I thought, well, I could maybe save you a little bit of money, $100 or so, if I got rid of the disconnect and just put a splice box in there. So I don't think wires will be long enough to go all the way down to the gutter.
Okay.
So, yeah, Darryl didn't say to me that he wanted two panels, he just wanted me to clean up what was
Yeah,
there.
we were
And
just
that's-
looking for cleanup
Yep,
because we don't
yep,
know.
That's what I did. There is another 400 amp panel on the other wall, that is already installed. I think Heritage Electric must be it.
Where does that go upstairs? Does that go upstairs to the main area up there by the stage? Is that what you're talking
I
about?
believe that's what it said,
Where
yes.
that breaker panel is now, or that disconnect?
I believe so, that disconnect. And basically, when I was all done, you'd have some splice boxes that you don't ever have to get into, the existing gutter, the existing color hammer panel on the end,
Right, yeah.
and all of these would be gone.
Okay.
And then
And-
key cabinet, or whatever that,
And the new ones, if we needed them, they would have ground fault certain
Yeah, the
interrupters,
new
right?
panel will come with all the ground fault breakers you need for that kitchen. Give or take, if you put 3 stoves in there, I have 2, or if you put a bigger one, or if you put a cooktop, if you kind of mess with just whatever, we might have to get another one.
So how many open panels, or how many open?
There is 90 spaces in that
Oh,
panel.
cripes. Okay.
So you shouldn't
That's a lot.
have any trouble, I don't think.
Okay.
And then I gave us, me and my apprentice, I gave us a couple of days because Darryl wanted to put some 3-way switching and 4-way switching in there because you have one light switch at the top of the stairs
Yep,
where it goes
yep.
up.
Yeah, okay.
So we're gonna do that, and then he wanted some LED lighting in there. And he was talking about putting the same LED lights that you have in the hallway in the utility room. And I was like, gosh, those look like expensive lights to put in the utility room. So I told him, I said, we can get these like a 5-way adjustable 15,000 lumen, light it up. You'll have to wear shades in there. And they're like $20. So,
Oh, wow, okay.
So,
Yeah.
so I gave us a little bit of extra time that second day to get that pipe ran. But
Yeah. Okay.
otherwise, yeah. The only problem I see that you want to consider is that panel, that price on that panel is good till May 1st.
Right.
And it takes 16 weeks to get built and get here.
Really?
So it won't be till August till we can even do it.
Okay.
Does Darryl know that?
I didn't know that information when I talked to him. So
Okay.
Okay.
It's not something that's just readily available. You just don't go to the yards and pick it up.
Right. Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Okay.
All I got.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
You have
Thank
any
you.
other questions?
Just so like when you put these new panels in, do you go through the building, trace all the circuits so everything is labeled, so, you know.
Would you like me to?
Would be nice. Well, yeah, so you don't have to turn all of
I
them
can
on.
do it to a certain extent. There always seems to be 3 or 4 that.
Don't go
it's
no
like,
place?
I don't know where they go. I can't find them anywhere. Sometimes, like in a house, I'll leave them off. I'm like, okay, when you find whatever's not working, you know what to turn on. But, no, I could try to. We do have to label the panel when we
Yeah,
put
right.
everything in, so we usually try to verify most of it.
Yeah, the Legion can do some of that too if you can't find them all. I'm sure that Daryl will look for those things.
I was just saying, a lot of times when I do it, I'll verify the ones that I can find and get. And you'll see a tiny little question mark in the corner of the panel schedule where it's like,
Mhm.
I think it's this, but there might be something else with it, or, you know,
Okay.
so you can kind of
All right.
know.
Any other questions?
Nope, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie? Jamie? I guess the first question was, you know, why two panels, I guess, 400 amps?
Right, when you get to something like that, they get pretty tall. And so I typically, so they don't get so ungodly tall, so they're down at the floor to the ceiling, we put in 2. And you'll see a picture of that in this handout here. So now, if you go step by step here, here's how we're going to do it. Proposed to do it. Okay, so the first thing, I guess, probably need to state as a standard is that we do now, you see a picture of a diagram. We go through the building, anything this pertains to. I've been working in this building for the last 10 years. I know it goes up to the upstairs Legion. I know it goes up, some go up into that, basically up into the bar up there for the Legion. Basically kind of goes throughout the place, and I thought this was my time to go in and make a diagram of the place, and then that could be turned over to the city if they still want it. If not, we would keep it for our records, so next time we go in to do work, we know what we're going into, and so it's not reinventing the wheel every single time, which is expensive.
Are we going to get rid of stuff like this?
Okay.
Open wires?
Any questions on step 1?
So, basically the front page?
That's step 1.
Okay, that's the kitchen, right? Okay.
That's an example of the kitchen. So when
Okay.
we went in and started in the kitchen, before we started doing any wiring, we went in and figured out what was there.
Okay.
And so that's what you're gonna see, just like in your house. Went
Yep.
through the whole house, figured out what was there,
Okay.
and then we started.
Yep,
Okay.
then everything is labeled. Yep.
And I'm not saying you're gonna find every single thing, but you could at least get, the proposal was to take some time and do this now. So, any questions on step 1? Step 2, there's a picture, the guys changed it when they're there working on the kitchen, but if you, I should have probably, you can see his little finger there, there's a number 12 wire that's going to this bigger wire here.
Yep.
That's basically 12 is worth 20 amps. You have it on a 60 amp fuse. Okay, that's what kind of stuff you have in that hall over there. And through the years, we've been trying to clean some of that stuff up. I know when you go into this, we're gonna find stuff like that. And so, step 2 is to take everything apart, check the integrity of the wire. Sometimes that older cloth stuff likes to fall apart. You start moving it around. And instead of coming back and asking for forgiveness later and an increased price, we covered it. So basically, we're gonna look for any of that stuff when we're in there, because we know it's there. We've come across it several times in the years of working there.
Okay.
Okay, any questions?
Well, it's a very old building.
Yeah.
Needs updating.
Yeah.
So, step 3, you can see what's there now. Again, that color hammer would stay. These panels are probably a little bit taller than what we talked about, but again, I like to use 2 of those panels. Again, leaving adequate space for future expansion.
What are those panels rated for amps?
This would be 400 amps, because it dictates, because out there at that main distribution panel we put in a few years ago, that's 400 amp going down there.
400 amps on each panel? Just for one panel?
just one panel. Like I said, the reason we do this costs a little bit more, but then again, they don't get so stinking tall. And then basically you get more spaces in the panel. But that's 400 amps.
So all these panels are taller panels rather than, say, a wider
Well, they're all
panel?
going to be 20 inches. And the thing that these are matching to what we put upstairs in the kitchen and what's throughout the building. Probably could have got a cheaper price if we went to a different brand, but then you got different brand panels through the building. And then the other thing with these panels we're putting in, they're panel boards less load center. So if you don't have big loads, you can do snap-in breakers, which are cheaper. Most time you have them on your truck. If you got bigger loads, like you want to do a sub panel out of it, you can do a bolt-on breaker.
Now, is there an isolation breaker on the outside of these panels, or strictly on the inside?
Your breaker for that is outside at the main distribution panel.
Okay, so one breaker would take out both those panels?
Yes.
So you don't have any disconnect switch inside the building then, other than on these two panels?
For what? For these panels or
Yeah.
others?
Just for these? They're outside, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's kind of the way people have been going to, is like if there's ever a fire, that they can go to the outside panel and shut all the breakers off before anybody goes inside.
And you had done that when you did the kitchen?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Made sense.
So that step 3 is putting it all back together, you know, from what we found, work out any of the stuff, and then basically put it back together and make it look really nice.
I just have one quick question, Joe. So I know there's supply chain issues. How far out are you guys doing panels?
They're typically a month out.
Okay.
Unless you can get them built in-house. Sometimes people have enough parts that we could have them built in-house, but it's typically a month.
So who makes these panels?
This one will be a square D QO, basically square D.
And it's the same as the ones upstairs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Except for upstairs has 3-phase. This is just going to stay single-phase.
Right, okay.
Reason being?
If you want to, we can order a 3-phase. But again, we put in 3-phase upstairs, everybody went gas. So do you see a need for 3-phase there?
No, I'm just asking. I don't know.
So it can, the pipe is big enough, the breaker up there can handle that, so yes.
Okay.
It'd be pulling an additional wire from the main distribution panel to this, so you can do it now if you want to.
So I guess so you got two panels and each have, what, like 42 slots, where the one panel on yours is like a 90 slots.
It's like the one that's on the other wall.
Okay. So basically you both have the same amount of spaces, it's just one's tall and you got two, okay. All right.
So how tall are these panels when they're sitting there? This picture is very deceiving because it doesn't actually show height.
And like I say, we put this together like minutes before the meeting, so I just try to find pictures of stuff that we had to give an example of. But I think if the 60 inches.
I have if there's, each panel is 56 high by 20 wide.
Okay, I'm only mentioning it because there are short people around, and I'm looking at one right over there. That's why I mentioned it, but shorter people won't be able to reach to the top of the panel.
Exactly, that's why we do this.
Okay.
Well, not everybody and their dog should be touching the panels. So.
Well, I know, but
Person, so.
What?
As low as the ceiling is in that room, I'm guessing anybody that height is to be able to reach the panel.
Oh, good, you're defending her. And you got somebody on your side.
Okay. Any questions for Jamie?
Yeah,
And how long is this project going to take?
We figured 4 days.
4 days.
And then we have step 4, Jamie.
Yeah, step 4 is going back and labeling the panel. Again, my concern is, the wires going from this situation, it feeds out to 2 sub-panels, one being the one up on the stage and the other one being in the coat closet.
Right.
Which again, those would be bolt-on breakers coming out of there. Then the concern is the wire integrity. You know, what, you guys know how old this building is? Old. So if you, that's like that cloth wiring stuff, and once you start messing with that, sometimes it falls apart, sometimes it stays together, so it's just kind of one of those things that you may want to pull wires up to the stage panel, and you might want to pull them back to the coat closet.
So was that a big project, putting new wire in there?
Well, again, I gave myself some time, but then at the bottom there, once we get into it, we deem that we could address the cost of the wire to pull that in at that time.
Because that breaker up on the stage has a tendency of tripping
The main-
periodically.
The main breaker?
Yeah,
So-
that one up there on the stage.
Okay.
So that's why I'm kind of addressing that, because during one of our Legion sponsored things there, that breaker kept on tripping up there.
Okay.
So maybe it's the wiring, maybe it's a bad breaker, I don't know.
Well, we'll have to be dealt with. but
Right.
yeah, Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
2 days before.
So are you allotting any extra time for problems? Because there's always problems,
Well,
you know?
yes.
Something comes up that you don't know anything about, you know?
And again, I guess my plan was to, basically, I wanted to try to get through the whole building that first day and kind of get a rough, okay, here's where everything is. Okay, and just get it figured out. Because usually time you get a phone call, you're in the middle of another job, and then you got to run over there and do something and quick do it. Well, if we got time to do it, go in and label that damn place, and then you guys can have that diagram. If somebody down the road needs to come in there, at least you have it, you know, because that's been a lot of the expense, is trying to find where stuff is in that building.
So then along with it, Jamie, just for clarification, you guys would inspect wire size and all of that also?
That's, with the experience of being in that building in the past, that's kind of basically, I gave my day to, 2 guys to go in there for a day and just make a diagram of that whole place, or get as far as we absolutely can.
And you figured that on your bid, correct?
Yes, yes.
Well, that'd be nice to know where everything's going and such, and then we could maybe put something up on the wall down there next to the breaker panel or something, so somebody in the future would know where everything is going, you know?
Step 4.
Huh?
That's step 4. So we didn't get to step, but anyway.
Right, you know what I mean.
Yeah, so day 2 would be going in, demoing stuff out, like you say, looking at wire sizes, looking at wire integrity, looking at stuff, and then basically day 3, going in, putting everything back together. Day 4, going and verifying that everything works, basically making a schedule, and, you know, it probably won't take that long, but I allowed it for in case there's other skeletons in, basically step 2. You know, so I gave myself a little bit of time, and if we don't need to use that time, it could be used for labeling purposes and diagrams.
Okay.
So I'm guessing the Memorial Hall would be shut down during this process, for a good part of it. I mean, obviously, when you're changing everything, it can't be open.
Well, and it just, they don't need extra people in their way.
But but it's a scheduling thing, I mean, you know.
When would you do this, during the week then?
Well, it depends.
Right, okay.
You know, I mean.
Well, if we need it
depends
done
on
right
the
now,
schedule.
I mean, but the hall will be closing for open walk.
Right. But you
In
know,
like a
there's
month or so.
graduation coming up, there's that, you know, maybe a wedding or 2, who knows, you know, it's all scheduling, so.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
It's gonna be a nightmare no matter how you look at it.
Well, I know, we've always kind of talked about that, looked at that, and just, that's why I figured the time I figured for this is, and then here's a chance to kind of, like they say, go through the place, but.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Jamie.
Okay, we have 2 different bids.
I
Well-
can leave this,
Oh, that's fine.
it's a printed copy.
Yeah, we actually have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Print it all
wasn't
from-
sure. Are you all done?
Well,
Thank you. Oh.
I don't have any more questions.
okay, do we want to decide anything or review these, or what do we want to do?
I'd like to, I'm having trouble making them apples for apples,
Okay.
but Colin,
Yeah, I guess, you know, just looking at everything here, Don't get me wrong, I'm no electrician. I was a lineman in my prior life, so I got some idea what's going on.
Prior life, you electrocuted or what?
Yeah.
That's why you have hair.
I guess just what, I guess what Jamie presented, I mean, you know, he covered a lot more detail. I think that the timeline to go through and replace all this, I feel is more realistic.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna, just to me, there's 4 to 6 days here working on this. I don't think 2 days is gonna cover it. Just looking at the panels, too, when I add in, you know, if I added in a couple more days under the other bid, add another panel, we're getting pretty close to the same price.
Well, you don't add another panel, because
Oh, that's
one
one.
panel equals
Okay.
there too.
Okay,
So-
gotcha.
I'm just worried about what we don't see. You know, that's the biggest.
Well, that's with anything.
Yep. Well, there is always the unknown, but I guess, I mean, I'm looking at the bottom line that Jamie's been in this building for how many years?
11.
You probably seen more stuff than you care to see, so I guess I would like to lean that direction.
Okay.
So,
So we have 2 bids, we have 2 estimates, you know. You know, Weber's is $14,750, the other one is $6,491.
But if you,
pretty
you
big
add,
difference.
if you look at the amount of time that they're gonna put in to go through everything thorough, label everything, check wire sizing, everything else, if you double the labor on this one, you add $5,000 more dollars to it. So, is that what you had?
not 5, that'd be 5,000.
2,500.
But I mean,
$2,500 more dollars.
Yeah.
So I mean,
You know, if I'm
I
just-
struggle with the apples for apples comparison, because I don't believe it is.
We certainly can do, and go through the pipes and check the
But
wires.
you didn't present that as doing it when I
But
asked
I
you.
wasn't told to do that.
But I
was
asked
told to
you-
just clean up the.
But when I asked you, you said,
The
well,
label?
sometimes we find it, sometimes we don't, sometimes we do this.
They-
In their presentation, they do it, unless it's absolutely not possible. So, like I said, a lot in the presentation that I need to make my decision off of. You know, So I need time to figure out an apples for apples comparison.
next meeting?
And actually, if I'm looking at this correctly,
Or to a special meeting.
you got 6 days in here?
Basically 2 guys, 4 days.
Okay, because you've got step 1, so it's 2 days,
Yeah.
Am I reading that correct?
Well, I typed this up in like 2 minutes, because I...
So you got day
Sorry.
2,
It's supposed to say day 2, I'm sorry. No, it's basically, 4 days, 2 guys.
okay.
80 hours.
We don't need the decision.
Don would like to table this.
Yeah,
For one more meeting, so we
Yep.
can go over everything
I agree.
and dissect it and see where we're gonna come on it. Is that okay with you and you?
The price of that panel that I was quoted is over till May 1st.
Right.
We might have to update it. Might have to update it.
We might have to
I
update it a
don't foresee a
little
big
bit.
difference.
Right.
It may go,
But I'd like to go over this another month and see,
So you're gonna make the
compare
motion.
everything.
You're gonna make the
I'll
motion
make a
to table.
motion that we table it for, until next meeting.
Second?
How does that sound?
Colin?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay, we'll table it, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, now the fun one.
Who's coming up now?
They all are.
Oh, no, the Three Musketeers.
All right, anybody have to go to the bathroom? This might take a while.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here comes the
man.
circus.
Can I?
Let's just move it in there.
Here comes the talkative one, she'll talk forever.
Talk fast.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
You guys aren't gonna get a word in edgewise with her.
Is there water in there?
there's none.
That's
I still need a cup with water though.
The V6?
The other side of the
I haven't even had a drink.
I almost got it memorized by now.
I would say I probably do.
Yeah, you probably do more than I do.
Now, you know you gotta speak up. I can hardly hear you.
I will speak up if I need to, Don.
Yes, speak up.
Do you want us to wait, Tim? Tim, do you want us to wait?
I'll be back about a half hour, just go ahead.
All right, very good.
Bring coffee, getting water.
Which one do you want to start with?
let's do the master agreement first. It's version 6 on top. Top right corner says V6.
You know why I'm giving you such a hard time?
Because you miss me?
Because I miss you being across the street.
Yep.
Okay.
So, just to kind of step back, the Bluefin ethanol project has multiple projects that we're all working on together between the city, McLean Sheridan, and Bluefin ethanol to get water,
I get that.
clarified water up to the ethanol plant. So, we have a master agreement that's between all three parties, and then we're going to have a water agreement between the city and McLean Sheridan. So the one that we'd like to go over first is the master agreement. It says version 6 on the upper right corner. So if y'all can grab that, we'll go. We'd like to keep it to the high points, so we're not going word by word through it. But if you have any questions along the way, please ask.
Version 3?
No, the other one.
The other one
It's the other version 6.
It says V6.
Oh, V6, I thought you said V3.
Yeah, it's the other version 6. Yeah.
Well, I'm only half off.
The other six.
Let's go to a V8, that's better.
Better be careful what you wish for.
I know.
Well, and do you want to
Oh, goodness.
make any other, as,
If I may, real quick, Tim and I had met with this group on Thursday.
Last week, Wednesday.
And we kind of went through a lot of this with the, some suggestions made, so this is kind of, just a follow-up from that.
Yes, we would have liked to have gotten the agreements to everybody sooner. It's kind of been a fast-paced thing with the schedule of the projects that are bidding and the Water Commission's schedule. They have a meeting tomorrow, as long as they don't shut everything down because of the storm that's coming up. But that's kind of why the sense of urgency that we're bringing this to you all right now. But Larry and Tim did get a good look at everything, and we'll make sure that the things that we've discussed
Right.
at our meeting, we'll make sure we point those out and show you guys where we added those in or took those comments down. So.
Okay.
Are they set up to do everything? Because they moved it all virtually tomorrow.
Yes, they did it all virtually, and just to cover that real quick, Larry and I both plan to be on the call for that.
Okay.
And
So do you.
we'll be monitoring.
I was wondering.
We'll be monitoring the meeting. It starts at 1 o'clock. It should not be the 12-hour or 8-hour-long marathon that we had when Colin and Adam were on the call. But we'll monitor that, and what my plan would be is to just let you guys know when we're getting close on the agenda, because the 4-year update that we're doing for the city on the State Water Commission grant for the intake, that's near the bottom of the agenda. So I'm guessing it's going to be 3 to 4 hours probably before we get to that point in the meeting, but we'll let you guys know. It worked out pretty good with, I think Adam had it on his phone the whole day, but I'll call you guys and let you know when it's getting close. That way we can be on there if they have any questions from us. So,
Colin, unless you want to do it.
Tomorrow? I think it's a snow day tomorrow.
it is a snow day tomorrow.
I might be running motor grader.
Give me my cell phone.
Oh, I hope
For you,
not.
just
Yeah.
in case I am at home.
Sure.
Anyway.
They're gonna call me out, so.
Okay.
well, we'll get into that. So, the agreement that says Master Water Supply and Wastewater Disposal Services Agreement, V6. So, there's 3 total agreements that we've been working on for the purposes of the city. This master agreement, you do not have to worry about the part that says Wastewater Disposal Services Agreement, because the city is not party to anything with the wastewater portion of it.
So that's going to be discharged into the river separately then?
Yep.
Who's putting that line in then?
We'll put that in as part of this project. The district will own, operate, and maintain it,
Okay.
and they'll be responsible for everything that's associated with that. I'm gonna jump through here and touch on highlights or high points as I see them. Tim, Larry, you jump in as you guys see fit for anything you guys feel is important if I'm skipping over something.
Yep.
Same thing with the two of you. On page 5, The water supply services agreement portion of it, where we started was,
This is the same. This is an old one. That's the one from the other day.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the street.
we're looking at a maximum annual take of 215 million gallons is what we had started with. And when we get into the other agreement, there'll be a little bit more detail to that on some minimums that we're going to make them pay or take in regards
So
to
it's
that.
going to be more than the 215 million then?
That's the maximum.
That's
Could be less.
It could be less. It could be more, but it could be less. So
Okay.
we're basically preparing for any contingency in terms of just financially making sure that the city and the district are whole. But
So what is the minimum amount right now?
right now, it'll be 80 million gallons a year.
That's it?
That's it.
And we'll get into that a little bit later in the agreement. too, Don.
I haven't seen any of this, so I'm asking questions.
Right now, the original ask was for the district to provide 215 million gallons of water. So that's what this is discussing, what that original ask was.
So that's what the lines are going to be made to carry?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
no problem.
I haven't seen any of this stuff.
As questions come out, just throw them out there. The next page, potable water that you're not a part of, the wastewater, we'll skip that. Local project sponsors,
I have a real quick question on, I'm sorry, on the wastewater, because Adam had sent you a thing. Didn't he want that 65.7 changed to something else? Or was
no, he
that-
wanted the 21.5 changed
He
to
wanted the
65.7.
Oh, he did?
65.7
Oh,
was
okay.
the
Oh,
change,
that's what it
yeah.
was, okay.
Yep.
got it.
Just to reiterate what Corey, the point that
Okay.
Corey made, the potable water
Yep.
piece of this and the wastewater piece of this
Yep.
are both things that are between the district and Midwest Ag Energy. That doesn't involve the city.
Right, I just had a question because it was on that email that I saw, so for sure. Okay.
Local project sponsors, the district will be the local project sponsor for all parts of this except the intake. The intake got treated a little bit differently because the city already had a grant agreement in place with the Water Commission, and they wanted to leave that as is. So the city will be the project sponsor for the intake part of it. The grant dollars that the city has will go to cost share contribution on that. Whatever the grant dollars don't cover, Midwest Ag Energy will cover that other cost at 100%. So no out-of-pocket cost to the city on any part of this. Permitting, city you have your existing permit. You don't have to do anything with that. Midwest Ag Energy has an existing permit. They're going to have joint points of diversion, one here and then one up at where they're taking the water out now, so they have the option of taking water out at either location.
Who's Midwest Ag Energy?
They are the subsidiary that owns, at least in part, Blue Flint ethanol plant.
Oh, that's the company that owns
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Now, you said they can take water out of either place,
Yep.
so they can take more out of there and just kind of cut us down? Is that where that minimum is you're talking about?
The city has a separate permit for pulling water out of the river
Right.
than Midwest Ag does. But yes, they can decide, that's their intention, is to have their permit, their allocated permit, and they'll pull what they want to out of whichever location.
That's why you were talking a minimum somewhere along the way. Okay,
Right.
just
So
I
where that
understand.
water's being discharged back into the river is where the intake lines for the plant is right now then, right?
It's actually kind of close to there. It's
It's
close
close
to
to
it.
there,
It's
but
downriver. It's
down-
downriver.
south.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
To the south of the intake lines.
Yep.
Downriver from the current intake line. And just to reiterate it, we did say wastewater line, but it's an effluent. There's no biological oxygen demand.
Right, we talked about that, but
Yep.
I was just wondering how far down that was from the intake lines. So the intake lines, that water that effluent that's being discharged back to the river won't be sucked back into the plant then, will it?
It'll be, I would say no, because it's downriver from there, but to give you the exact distance, I'm not sure.
No, I'm
but I know
not
that.
worried about that.
Yeah, it's in the same vicinity, but it's downriver of where the intake is
Okay.
for the Great River Energy.
the quality of that water is not that great, but we had consultations with the DEQ, and normally what they would make you do if they were even worried about it a little bit is do a degradation study on the river, and they looked at the quality of the water and basically said, you don't even have to bother
I know
with
that, I'm just asking here.
Okay. Section 305, utility relocation and service. The city's responsibility there is for electrical power for the intake site. I believe the power was already on site with the purchase of the site. MAG and the district are responsible for all the other locations, and including the water plant expansion. On the financing part, on section 306B, basically just stating that whatever grants the state gets for the intake, the city gets for the intake, that they will make that a part of the cost contribution for the build-out. And then, as I stated, on the financing side, Midwest Ag Energy is 100% responsible for any local costs that aren't covered.
Both intake structure.
Intake, water plant, pipeline, discharge structure, everything.
So the intake coming off the river, since we're gonna need a new intake, so whatever things that's left over on that with the grants and stuff, then they would make do on the rest of it.
Right. Whatever's left over, whatever's not eligible, like the land purchase.
The land purchase was not an eligible
Right.
cost for the grant, so that was something the city wrote the check for, and basically we sent the bill to the district, and then they sent the bill to Blue Flint, and then it trickled back to the city, and that all worked out for everybody, right?
Yeah.
For that. So.
Okay.
That was our first test case.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. So we're glad that we got to do that and get the land purchase.
The design responsibilities, again, the design responsibilities for the city, basically we're on the hook for the design of the intake, although we had that pretty well completed. There were some updates that we did, and actually those updates are being done through the agreement with McLean Sheridan. So there was some cost share made available for that, so there's some additional costs through that, but that's being run through.
So you got two size pipes here, 16 and 12 inch. Which one are you going with then?
Neither one, we're doing 14.
That actually, I think that 16 and 12 inch refers to the pipeline from Washburn up to Blue Flint.
Okay.
And there actually is a 16 inch pipe and a 12 inch pipe planned.
Yeah.
So the first mile or so leaving town, going back to our discussion we had earlier about the plots, not to get into that, the planting, or the garden up there, that's where that bore is going to take off from, and that's going to be a 16 inch pipe leaving town. And once we get out of town, it's going to transition to a 12 inch. To a 12 inch.
12 inch.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. But there is a 14 inch involved in our project, and that's to do with the intake.
Yes.
Intake,
Yeah.
but that's a separate line.
That's a separate line, yes.
So are you gonna have a pumping station
Yeah.
someplace in between?
Absolutely. Not in between. There's going to be a pumping station at the intake, and there'll be one at the water plant in Washburn.
Okay,
So
what
there's
about
not
that?
going to be a booster station planned at this time between here and Blue Flint.
No booster?
No. It won't be necessary.
Okay, when the water comes in, it goes in the clarification deal, and
Yep.
that's the add-on right now, right?
That's
We're
the part of the
working
new water plant will be clarification.
Right.
Yes.
Are we gonna have any other temporary storage, or no?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Is that in Washburn, or is that just out there?
So the new water plant's going to have a wet well that the clarified water will go into, and then the pump station that McLean Sheridan is actually gonna run, that's going to be in the same building. We'll sit over the top of that wet well, and that's where we'll pump that water from that point through our 9-10 mile long pipeline up to a storage reservoir that we're actually going to be building up there too.
You're not gonna have a wet well at Blue Flint then, right?
There'll be
It'll
a
be a
reservoir.
2 million gallon
2 million gallon storage
2
reservoir.
million gallon.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're going to run part of the plant here in Washburn itself?
We'll have booster.
No, I mean personnel.
The
or-
city will.
Yep.
Just city will.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering.
We will have
Yeah,
pumps
okay.
in the facility that will be our pumps, but the rest of the facility will be the city.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that,
Even, and it does, just to clarify too, he said we are the project sponsor, the design engineer for the water treatment facility, just so that we get the funding, just so that everything
Right.
stays, but once that's built, It is the city owns that. Mhm.
Right, I just wanna,
Yep.
if we're hiring personnel,
Yep.
I wanna make sure we get the right people or
Yep.
to be able to do that, so.
So are you're not gonna have anybody in your area actually involved in anything that's pipeline, because it's gonna be done by the city, and then Blue Flint is gonna have it, or you're gonna have personnel, your own personnel up there?
Well, my personnel, the pipeline will become part of my system. So we would monitor that pipeline.
Oh, you would monitor that?
Yes.
The district's gonna own and operate it, maintain it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
And then we just send it with our personnel, with the water going out, and if there's a problem, they work back and forth, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They will
Right. We would be-
control
we
the
would
pumps, so
monitor the-
basically
yes.
from the pumps out will be their
Right.
problem.
Okay.
The treatment would be the city's problem.
Once you get it into the clear well, your problems are done.
Okay,
Right.
that's what I was wondering. Okay.
What page?
10, 11?
10.
What's the last one?
Well, we can skip 11 because that's all wastewater stuff. We don't care about that. Reviews, city will be a part of all the review process. And during construction, you guys will be authorized to inspect anything you want. Either, well, the intake will be yours, the water plant during construction. You guys can come and inspect that as you see fit. If you want to go look at the pipeline, the reservoir, any part of it, you can feel free to go and see that.
And everybody can come in and watch ours. too.
Yeah, same thing. Yep.
And of course, we'll be coordinating that, the project rep will be coordinating with the contractor to make sure that the site's safe and that it's a good time for people to come and see it.
Right.
Okay, I have another question here. You know, on pipelines and stuff, you usually end up with scalar debris. Are you gonna have back flushing maybe once a year on that line or something? Or are you just gonna run straight and not worry about any back flushing or anything?
We won't do any back flushing, but we will have flush points along the way. And if nothing else, we would at least periodically crank the velocity up in the pipeline just to blow it out the end.
Okay.
And, you know, ultimately, there may be some periods of time, you know, if the ethanol plant's doing a shutdown or whatever, and they're going to be responsible for owning and maintaining the reservoir, so it'll be incumbent upon them to keep that cleaned out. So if they do a shutdown or whatever, it'd be a good time for them to go in and, you know, clean out whatever material might be in the bottom
Just
of the
asking
tank.
about the back flushing because that's an important factor when you got water lines and such.
Yep, the biggest thing is that, you know, we can crank that velocity up. We're running this normally at a pretty low velocity, but if we need to, we can crank it up and do a flush that way, or we'll have, like I said, some flush points along the way. Yeah, the financing keeps repeating itself in the different phases as we go along, but it's basically the same language of who's going to be responsible. We've got different responsibilities during construction. Basically, the city is responsible for construction of the intake, letting that contract and the bids for that. Construction milestone, we have a schedule set out that's attached to this. It's pretty aggressive to at least have water available at the site by October. Last Friday, we did let our first two bids on the pipeline and the reservoir. Tuesday, we were supposed to be in front of the Water Commission to get our funding for tomorrow. That has been tabled.
Would you like to make a side bet on October water?
Yeah.
He's pretty confident. I wouldn't bet with him.
The governor's office asked to have the request for tomorrow tabled, and we'll likely follow up with a special meeting just for this consideration. We're hoping that we will have that next week. One of the things that they had asked us today, and this was prior to them telling us that they were going to table it, was before they give us money, they want to make sure all the agreements are signed. So
that was the push for this.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons for the push. With the main goal of that October timeframe, we can't really afford to slow down. So that's
All the pipe and everything is bought already?
It's been let. So once we have our funding, then we will give notice of award to the contractors, and they'll get the bids going. And, you know, up until the day we opened bids, we asked them, can you even get the pipe?
That's steel pipe?
Poly.
Poly pipe.
Yep. And normally we would do PVC. PVC suppliers aren't even bidding projects right now because they
Really?
can't guarantee a delivery timeline, and Poly's still meeting deliveries and deadlines. Historically, Poly had always been more expensive than PVC. That has now switched where Poly is more economical.
Wow.
Plus, from a water loss standpoint, it's a better product.
It has to be dug in all the way, right?
Dug in all the
Right,
way,
okay.
and it will be fused. It'll be one continuous fused pipe from here to Blue Flint.
There's places where it'll be bored. There's some spots
Yeah,
where it'll be
yeah,
bored, of
exactly.
course, but yeah.
Otherwise it'll be trenched.
Yes, it'll all be underground, all the pipe.
I mean trenched to put the pipe in.
Yeah.
Yes, in
They'll
the
dig
areas
it.
that we're not boring, yep.
All right, so,
Ownership, operations, maintenance, we've talked about the ownership, operations, and maintenance. The city will own and operate both the intake and the plant when they are done and commissioned. Quality, quantity, and schedule. For the interim completion, we have the pipeline and reservoir completed this year, the intake and the plant expansion. We've got dates of next year. There's no way we're getting the materials, the electrical, the pumps, all that.
For equipment.
That isn't happening this year. So, and that's been known to Midwest Ag Energy that we won't be substantially complete with everything until next year. So,
The last thing.
how about 6.04?
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
We need to make sure that we.
oh, that wasn't highlighted. Okay.
Yeah, if you wouldn't have said it, Tim, I would have.
Good.
We were all
I was
waiting.
I was looking for the highlighted stuff. I already accepted that, so that was a done deal. So last Thursday, we met with the city and Ann, and Lynn was not there. But anyway, the couple of comments that came from Tim and Larry was some protection for the city. If we run into a problem where we can't get enough water out of the river, we have some sort of limitation in capacity. So if in paragraph 6.04 it reads, if the supply capacity of the intake facility drops below 400 gallons per minute, the city and the district reserve the right to prioritize domestic consumption under the provisions of section 12.06.
12.06, the preference is force majeure.
That's-
So that's just, if we have to use a temporary pump then, that'd be just one temporary pump?
It could be for any reason.
Any reason.
Any reason.
Whatever the reason is,
If our existing intake and our new intake aren't able to procure that water, the priority at a minimum is 400 gallons a minute
Is the city.
to the domestic. Yeah.
Originally, Don, originally it was that they were gonna proportion it between the city, between Ann, and between Blue Flint, and we said, no, we have to have priority.
We have to have priority.
If they dry up, we still have to have water because
Right.
our residents, her residents, fire, whatever. So that's why we wanted it in there to get rid of the proportioning
Okay.
part.
Makes sense?
Does that make sense? All
Very
right.
much so.
That's why we did that.
So all the metering and stuff like from on our end will be our responsibility, then the amount of water that we're sending down the line then, all that metering is our responsibility on this side?
no, your responsibility for metering would be on the inlet to the water plant. You will have we'll have a meter there that controls everything because there'll be some water loss that goes along with
Right.
that. So we'll meter that. That's what you'll bill McLean Sheridan for. They will measure the water as it goes out the door, and then they'll also measure it as they drop it into the reservoir, and that'll kind of help them monitor their water loss. But we account for the water loss. We charge for the water loss.
Or you charge for the water
We
loss?
charge for the water loss because
Okay.
there's a cost with pumping, electrical, and all of the. Where do we get into that? Is that in this agreement or
No, I think it's
in the
in the
next
other.
agreement? We'll talk about, because there's a true-up provision in these agreements that basically is a protection and a fairness, in my opinion, for everybody involved, in that you guys won't be, if we go through a year and costs are way higher than we had expected, that you guys won't be stuck carrying that extra cost. You know, next year you would make an adjustment, but it gives you the opportunity to look back at the last year, and if you realize that you undercharged, you get to make up for the difference. Conversely, if we overcharge them, there's a balance both ways.
So how much water loss are you talking about then?
We've budgeted for 5%.
5%?
Yep. We had started at 10% with a poly line. We dropped it to 5. And even
Reason
that,
being?
you just shouldn't have as many potential for leaks in a poly line because there's no joints. There's
All fused.
Okay.
It's fused, yep, so. Sounds good.
And even 5% I would think would be high, but from a starting point, we're going to guess a little bit high, and again, that's somewhat of a protection
And
measure
we
for
can
the
always
city.
drop it down as we go.
Exactly. It's easier to go down than it is to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least the people on this side of the table, those guys up there probably don't think so, but. Termination clause, let's talk about that one. There's some things that we added there. Again, there's a termination clause in there for Midwest Ag Energy. If they go belly up or they cease operations up there, they can give us 180 days notice, you know, that they're basically stopping operations, which if they stop operations, I'm not sure who we'd send a bill to, but the one thing that we did add to that is if they do resume operations, that this agreement becomes effective again upon operations. So we're not going to sign this agreement with them. They send us a notice in 180 days, they're stopping operations, and they do that for whatever reason, and then 12 months after that, they start up again, then they're out from underneath this agreement. That's what that language is there to guard against, to make sure that, hey, if you guys are making water, you're taking 80 million gallons a year. And then the other thing that they did ask for is say, hey, if we're going to sign these before the state acts on our grant dollars for them, that was a bit of a chicken and the egg situation, and they didn't want to be on the hook for this project if the grant dollars aren't there.
Right, that's understood.
So that's what the paragraph B is. Those were the
That's all the
highlights.
highlights in this one.
Maybe it's a, good.
This agreement is already looked at by Ann's board, by the McLean County Water District's board, and they approved them. And what our goal is tonight too is to get through these agreements, and if the city was comfortable to go ahead and vote and approve those as well, so that we could take that decision to the State Water Commission. We could talk more about that, but I guess we can go into the next one is the agreement.
Looks like the first please.
I don't know that, Blueprint has.
Jeff told me if we have everything signed, he would sign what we've got based on the comments that he gave back.
Okay, good, thank you.
So if there's bound to be something that's not in all this stuff that comes up, can changes be made without any hassle from you guys, or, you know what I mean?
Well, any changes to the agreements would have to be agreed to upon by all parties.
Right, but there's gonna be some changes.
Yeah.
No doubt about
Yep.
it.
Yeah, nothing's gonna be perfect for sure. So yeah, we'll look at those as they come up and address them.
I guess the changes would be dependent on who's asking for them and what are they, you know, it's,
So the next agreement is the agreement between the city and McLean Sheridan, and you should see the version 3 at the top right corner of that on the front page. Starts off the same with the table of contents and the definitions.
all boring stuff. Intent,
Who wrote all this stuff up?
we hired,
Lawyers did this. I will point out right away that between these two agreements, we went over the master agreement first. This is the agreement between, like I said, between the city and McLean Sheridan. if there is any discrepancies between the two agreements, the agreement between the city of McLean Sheridan would take precedence.
Okay.
So the one that we're about to go through right now is the one that would take precedence if there was to be some kind of, irregularity between the two.
And one of the requests, just so you know, one of the requests from Blue Flint was that exhibits to the master agreement be the two, because the master agreement references the two different cities, so you would have access to our agreement with MAG as an exhibit to this, so that you could see.
Sure.
For sure.
Let's maybe jump to page 5. The failure to deliver and shortages, we've got that same language that protects or gives priority to the domestic consumption at that 400 gallon a minute rate. Let's go to paragraph 5.01.
Now, for some reason, if we have trouble delivering the water to you, out to Blue Flint, is that going to be a problem for them if we don't give them enough prior notice, or is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, good question, fair question. Well, first of all, there's a force majeure clause in here which gives the city some protection in the event of an unforeseen event causing that.
Act of God thing.
Act of God. Depending on what happens with Coal Creek, they're going to still have a second water supply there. So if for whatever reason we can't supply the water, they may be able to get whatever water they may need to keep operating at full production from Coal Creek, or they may just have to turn
Rainbow's
down.
going to let you do that then?
Rumor has it that May 1st, they will have an agreement with Rainbow.
Right,
to
it's
that
being
effect.
sold on May 1st.
Yeah, allegedly.
Supposedly.
It was supposed to be May 1st of last year, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. And they said January 1st too.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, plus we have 2 million gallons of storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big reason by putting, that basically gave them 3 days of operating storage. So if we have a failure of some sort.
So then they're well protected.
They're pretty well protected for most occurrences, whether it's a pipeline leak, we should be able to fix that within 24, 48 hours. If we have something happen at the water plant, there's actual redundancy in the plant to where we would need a pretty significant failure there to drop,
Right.
3 trains of production.
Just asking.
Yep. So when we dove into this and we started looking at it and understood the reliability and the resiliency that we wanted in this, we built a lot of it into it. Engineers were just conservative by nature, but we did go through that with Blue Flint and explain to them, why we're doing what we're doing. And of course, all the redundancy you add always adds cost, but wanted to make sure that they understood that. And they could always say no to that, but understand that if you say
So
no
you
to
have built-in redundancy, so you don't end up with a major issue then.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe a little off topic, are we going to have a generator backup somewhere to get water to our plant from across the river?
So right now, the only backup generator that we have planned is for the water plant side of things. So we didn't plan on putting a backup generator at the new intake. We don't currently have a backup generator at the existing intake, but we were planning to put a backup generator at the water plant. So that would be able to be ran. Now, just talking about resiliency and multiple points that would have to fail for this whole thing to fail. We have a separate electrical entity on that side of the river than we have over here. So we have our new intake that's going to be pulling from Rough Rider Electric, and then over here we have Otter Tail, I think, at the water plant and then in the existing intake. So yes, there is one generator that we're planning for, but if we had a complete this blizzard that's coming tomorrow and it wipes out a bunch of power lines, you can't always. But again, that goes to that force majeure and acts of God that you can't prevent everything.
But I was
from
just
breaking
wondering
down,
the main plant, because if you got power over there, but you can't control it over here because you don't have power to get it out to you, or you gotta have some power
Understandable.
just to up and run.
And I haven't seen any of the preliminary plans on the plant expansion yet, and I doubt we'd even have the electrical that far advanced on it, or
No.
I haven't looked at the electrical that close on the intake, but do you have a transfer switch? And I would recommend that we at least have a transfer switch, a manual transfer switch, so if we needed to, in a worst-case scenario, pull up a portable generator and plug that in and get into operation within a...
I believe Nick has an automatic transfer switch on the new water plant in his plan. I don't know, I can't recall off the top of my head if he had one at the new intake, but that's something I can ask him about that.
Because that was portable, so we could move it to either side, or something like that.
And this generator that we were planning for the water plant was gonna be a permanent generator, not a portable one, but, you know, that's something that we could look into. The big thing would be getting the wiring and the automatic transfer switch there. If you're gonna have a portable generator at some point in time that you could move over and hook up real quick and turn on. But that's some discussions that I can have with the electrical guys.
Just wondering what we got planned.
No, it's a good question.
The water rates portion of this, you know, I know at previous times we've met with you, we presented Miranda's cost of service analysis, and that's what these rates are based on. We've updated that to your 2021 actuals. Miranda looked at what your...
Page 6.
Page 6, I'm sorry.
Oh, too far ahead,
Well, I'm going to get to page 7 pretty quickly. They go hand in hand because the table that I'm talking about covers both pages. But looking at the water purchase that they would have on a monthly basis, and they broke this on a monthly basis because we want to charge them for whatever water they take on a monthly basis. So one month you might charge them one rate, and the next month it might be something higher. And really what our goal is there is to minimize what our true-up cost at the end might be. So that way, if they tell us, we're going to use 215 million gallons a year, and we start charging the 219, and then we get halfway through the year and we look back and say, well, you aren't anywhere near that, you're not going to get anywhere near that. Now we're going to be behind the 8 ball. The city would have some carrying costs and that type of thing. So we're just going to do it on a monthly basis. Chelsea and Ann can compare notes and
So who pays for this then directly to us? Is it,
The
you will be
city
paid?
will bill us, and we will bill...
City will bill
Blue
them?
Flint.
Yep.
And Blue Flint pays you then?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So then the table then goes down to a little over 6,660,000 gallons a month, and that is, if you multiply that by 12, that comes out to 80 million gallons. And this was one of the negotiating points that we worked pretty long and hard on between last Thursday and today, and impressing upon Midwest Ag Energy that they needed to make a commitment to use this and not just rely on the water from Cold Creek Power Plant, that if we're going to spend all the money on building this, the state's going to invest in it, you're going to take some water. And what we settled on was a minimum of 80 million gallons a year.
So what was the plant charging them for the water then? A lot less than this then, right?
If you take all these dollar amounts, I don't know exactly, but you can take that decimal point and move it to the left one spot.
Is this 5 years? Is that...
Nope.
Or is this the term of the...
This is a 20-year agreement.
Okay. All right.
And honestly, they asked for a longer agreement. They do have some carbon capture projects that they're working on, and one of the things that they needed to show to their investors on that was that they have a long-term secured water agreement, and with Rainbow Group or even Great River Energy, they didn't have that. So this was pretty important to them to be able to demonstrate that.
They're going to need a lot of water for carbon capture then, right?
Blue Flint won't. They're going to do a dry gas injection some way, somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. When Rainbow Group gets to that point, that will be I'll call it a carbonic acid system. We'll basically dissolve the CO2 into water and pump that down. How Blue Flint's process is gonna work, or how that
So
works.
they're not both going into the same?
I can't imagine they are.
Okay.
Okay, so Corey, explain the year one and number two. How do those work together?
So, basically, as our model that Miranda works here, as we keep getting lower and lower in terms of the volume number, the numbers start getting kind of goofy and weird. And what we wanted to do was we didn't want to just give them a volumetric number, and because that way if it was zero, then we wouldn't generate any revenue. So basically, we have under number one basically says you're going to buy 80 million gallons a year, or you're going to pay for 80 million gallons a year, whether you take it or not.
Yep.
Number two on that says that at a minimum, you're going to pay, so we'll calculate what their bill is, and if it's less than the combination of $5,260 plus $2.56 per thousand for how many gallons of water that are produced. And if they're not taking any water during the month, what we have in there is that we would run everything for 24 hours, 1 day a month, just to verify that everything's always working.
Right.
That,
Yeah, so the $52.60 per month is gonna cover the city's fixed costs. So your employee that you have to hire, your chemicals, your electricity, everything to run that water plant and the intake, that's gonna cover your fixed costs, that's minimum per month. And that 864,000 gallons that we have minimum per month,
yep.
that's gonna be basically a 600 gallon per minute flow rate for a 24-hour period. So that we're guaranteeing that we're running our equipment that we have to own and maintain in that water plant. So that's how you're arriving at that minimum monthly.
So if there's outages at the Blue Flint and they're down for a month, they're still gonna get charged the same amount for our
To cover,
costs?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, since you brought up employee, do we need to have them on at night and stuff for you guys? For being at the treatment plant or anything like that?
We shouldn't have to, we don't know.
Well, right, I just don't know if
Yeah, I'm just saying we
you guys
shouldn't
are going to
have.
require anything
And that's going to be
Or-
something that we can discuss the further we get into design, because there's going to be some things that we're going to be able to automate as part of the plan.
Okay.
And that'll be something that the city will have to decide on how they want to operate their equipment.
One of the big differences too is keep in mind we're clarified versus potable.
Correct.
Big difference.
Yep.
As far as, reporting and, all that,
So they're gonna have their own potable conversion over at Ethnalden
We're gonna supply potable with a separate water line.
for a separate water line? Okay.
So did you got this 5260 that's current, so is there something figured over the years for inflation costs?
Yeah, so the cost of service analysis,
That'll be done every
if you read at the bottom of that, that's going to
Okay.
be done annually.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And again, that's going to be for everybody's protection.
Right.
I had something that I was going to add to a question you had, now I forgot. Maybe it was something you were going to say.
No, it wasn't me.
Had to be-
Oh, I'm sorry, it was your question on the plant. No, you guys will be able to schedule however you want. The one thing I did want to say is we did budget, when Miranda looked at your 2021 budget, and we did all these calculations, we did assume one additional full-time employee for the city.
And
So
their-
that's budgeted in
Their
here.
benefits and everything would be.
Well, that's what we're working on right now, trying to, and that's why I needed to know if they have to be here or if they're on call, what we need to ask when we hire. So I just wondered if you guys needed anything.
However you guys can make it work.
Okay.
However you're operating now, is Adam pretty much the guy and he's on call 24/7? Are you the backup or?
No, Zach is probably the backup now.
Yeah, will
New
be.
guy, so, well, he's running the plant now, so.
Right.
Well, Adam's gone, so. And then, well, basically, we want all of our employees to at least know the basics. And then, like, Adam and Zach would probably be the two main ones. But then, Matt probably won't be into it much, because he
Yeah.
doesn't like that, but we plan on having at least three people that can run it.
Yeah. In most of the areas.
And you too. Chelsea too.
Chelsea's gonna sign up for it. Been pushing her.
Well, that way she knows what's going on with what you're talking about, because she's doing the billing.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, okay.
But with it being clarified water, there'll be times of the year that you just run it through the plant. You won't have to
Exactly.
run any chemical or anything.
Exactly.
We just pump it up the hill. But then there will be other times where we won't be able to.
That's right, exactly.
Which won't be fun. Anyway, I did just want to point out that at 80 million gallons a year at 335, that's about $265,000 a year in gross revenue for the city on that. That includes fixed, variable, and
It's gonna be your operation maintenance costs and your
depreciation.
There you go.
And that's where okay.
That's actually on the high side then, right?
It's a fair depreciation rate for the city.
It's a fair rate, that you're, at the end of it, the life cycle of the equipment, it would give you the ability to replace that equipment.
Okay, good.
Oh, was that you?
That was her.
It didn't sound like her.
I don't blame you.
We're almost there.
I don't
We're getting
blame
real
you.
close.
I've been through these so many times in the last 2 weeks that,
And that's what you dream about at night?
yeah,
Feel bad for you.
night sweats.
Yeah.
Where are we going to then, my man?
I think that's about it.
Pretty
for
much
the-
it. You get into the signature pages, and then you get into the exhibits. Exhibit A shows the pipelines and overview map. Exhibit B would be the basics of the design memo. That's not actually part of this right now. It's not actually physically in it, but that's what the Exhibit B will be. The basic design memo talks about the whole project and how we came upon what we're doing for it. So,
Which needs to be updated.
that does need to be updated.
So come October, we're just gonna run water for 1 month then, the way I understand it?
That's the plan, yeah.
Just as an experiment.
Well, no, the purpose of that 1 month is, so currently right now, Blue Flint is building a treatment facility, because they gotta treat their water to a certain standard for what their processes are to produce ethanol. So they're building that and installing that equipment between now and then, and that water, the purpose of that water coming up there is to commission their equipment.
And that volume that they're looking for, they're only looking for about 9 million gallons over a month.
Right.
So we'll have some opportunity to work with Adam in terms of how we produce that water and get that dumped into their tank.
Will they have their storage done by then, so that we can bank some water in there?
Yeah,
That's the plan.
Okay.
Hopefully.
So did I already say they're only gonna run it like 200 gallons a minute for that, so it'd be a reduced operating capacity, so we'll kind of do it in.
So we're gonna charge them for that water now that's going out there?
Oh, yeah.
Even though we don't have full capacity?
Right.
Yes.
And that's that figure in your chart there then, right?
Yep.
Yep, well, I think I probably talked to you guys about it, how we have to modify the existing plant to be able to get that clarified water for that October timeframe, because we're obviously not gonna have the intake or the water plant done by that time, so.
For that month, they'll get charged those minimums. And if there's any other month that they call and ask if we can provide water, it would resort to that same minimum determination. But once the water plant and the intake are substantially complete, then they're gonna start getting billed every month for the minimums, whether they take any water or not.
And you're gonna have that discharge line ready then too at that time?
Yeah, that discharge line will go in this year.
Any other questions? So basically, if we like this, we need to, motion to approve both of these, and then, sign them, and then let us bid, right?
Who's gonna be our go-to person from the water
He
then?
does.
Ann is gonna be our go-to person?
Oh, McLean Sheridan, yeah.
And like I said earlier, there's a signature page that had already given to Larry. It's sitting right over there for each one of the agreements. And McLean Sheridan their board has already agreed to both of these agreements as well. And like we had said earlier, you know, the State Water Commission meeting is tomorrow. And from what Corey said, that's why we're trying to get this information to them to assure them that we're all three
We
parties
met
are.
last week, we had asked to have these approved this week. Some phone calls this morning got us a little excited, and we were gonna come tonight and ask if we could get them approved tonight, if at all possible.
Now, if we don't get the funding from the water board, then
Goes away.
goes away, or Midwest would have to kick in the extra, right?
Midwest
They're not willing to.
They're
They
not
would have
willing
to
to
decide
decide.
what they wanna do.
Right.
Okay, but that's
and
still-
then they put the clause in there because they may not be willing to. Like, we can't speak for them, but with that clause in there, they were able to walk away and not kick in the rest of it.
Then we can walk away if they don't approve that through the deal.
The city's not being held to anything.
Do you want one motion for both of them?
I think we do them separate.
I think,
Okay.
I make
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the water supply agreement between McLean Sheridan and the City of Washburn.
I'll second it.
Discussion, Colin?
Yes.
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 Okay, I will make another motion that we accept the master water supply and wastewater disposal services agreement between McLean Sheridan and City of Washburn and Midwest Ag.
Second?
Discussion, Colin?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right.
And you said we can observe this line being dug in
Anytime,
anytime?
but please talk to us before you just show up on site.
Really? You can have binoculars from the top of the water
What?
tower.
Tim's gonna be out there inspecting it for us
Certainly
anyway.
hire me as, what do you call it?
RPR.
RPR.
You'll have to go through me.
Okay, Yeti, I can go through you.
You got that paperwork signed yet?
Huh?
You got that paperwork signed yet? Going to be good.
Got your life insurance ready? Because we're sending lead waiters with you?
He'll never get through the background check.
I like to see the line going in.
Since you're here, do you want to?
I would ask if you'd be okay with that if I give the rest of my update.
Absolutely.
So I had mentioned it earlier, but we did the 90% design review meeting for the intake project last week, Tuesday. I provided a jump drive for Chelsea that has the video from that meeting, the plans, the 90% plans for the intake, PDF, the slides that we went over in the meeting minutes. And I actually printed off the meeting minutes for you guys. They should be in your packet. Okay. So we did that on April 5th. You know, the meeting went well. We are working towards that 100% completion for our plans and specs. The timeline right now is to advertise in May and have a bid opening in June. And one of the things I wanted to ask the city for, unless there was going to be a special meeting between now and then that I didn't see on the schedule, is I was going to ask the city's permission to advertise the intake project for bid starting May 12th. I would have to submit, I think you have to submit a week in advance to Leader News. Is that what it is?
Tuesday at 10 a.m. is the deadline
Tuesday at
to
10
get it in that
For
week.
Thursday?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the sooner you can get it to them, the better.
Yeah.
We do have a meeting May 9th,
By night, yeah.
but
Okay.
just the sooner the better.
Okay,
So,
May 9th, so May 9th would actually, is that a Monday? That's
is.
a Monday.
yeah, but you
Some
would
reason
like
I
to
was
have it
tracking
before
it.
then, right?
Well, as long as we know, we're in the understanding that the goal is to get it in the paper, you know, that Tuesday before May 12th would be Thursday the 12th. That's when the paper comes out, is on Thursdays, right?
Yes.
So Tuesday would be the 10th. So if you have a meeting on the 9th,
Yes.
then I can just ask for it then. If that's, I wasn't tracking the meeting was on the 9th for some reason.
We could approve it now, couldn't we?
It's really up to you. We can bring it up on the 9th. But I wasn't tracking that meeting, that's why I was gonna bring it up tonight.
We have a meeting on April 25th.
On April 25th?
We have a Board of Equalization meeting, we could
Okay.
add it on to it.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, we could.
I will do that.
Yeah.
So we don't need to jump the gun on that, but I wasn't seeing another meeting, so I'll have it on my schedule to ask you guys on April
Yeah,
25th.
it's right here, say it.
Oh, okay, well, it's on the agenda. I just gotta read the agenda all the way.
Am I wrong on my dates? But
So anyway, yeah, I'll get back to that. No update on the FEMA grant extension. That time extension is still out there. The deadline on the FEMA grant was actually March 22nd. We submitted the 6 weeks prior to that, so it was January something. We submitted the request to have our funding for another year. So still waiting to hear back on that. I did put a question in to Todd Jors at the Department of Emergency Services, and he said he was going to get back to me. So I'll follow up on that and get back to you. We will have the State Water Commission tomorrow. Their meeting is tomorrow, and we're to provide them an update as to the funds that they have allocated to the city for the intake project. They didn't have any questions really. They kind of talked about it a little bit, but at the last meeting that Adam and Colin called into, we had that on that agenda. So it'll be on there again. This is in front of the full commission. So we'll see what they say on that. I don't anticipate there being any issues with it. I expect them to grant the money to the city on that extension. So I'll let you guys know what I hear back on that.
Now, that new intake has nothing to do with our new line going underneath the river then, right?
Yeah, it does have something.
I know, but the funding and everything, can we start that project this year yet?
That's the plan, yep.
Or do we have to wait another 10 years?
No, so just like I was saying earlier, we're planning to advertise here in May. So we'll hopefully start construction in July. And that's my last bullet point on the intake project, is that's the timeline there. So we'll be wanting to advertise in May, get contracting done in June, and start construction in July.
Good idea.
That's the plan. Yep.
Good idea.
Okay. Any questions on the intake project update?
Nope.
Okay. So the other projects, just to give you guys another update on the water plant, preliminary design and geotech report is what we're working on right now. Laith had given an update. Some of you guys know Laith, not all of you guys do, but Laith is another engineer at AE2S, and he's kind of heading up the water plant project, and he's expecting in the next 4 to 6 weeks to have a 30% design review meeting on the water plant. So we will just track that. And then, as we discussed last month, and then we did looking at the agreements, that October 1st is when we're targeting to get that water up to Blue Flint. Bids were opened last week Friday, as we had brought up as well. Just to give you an update on that, the pipeline project was pretty close to our estimate. It was just a hair over when you included the alternates. The base bid we had a good bid on, and that was actually under our estimate. But overall, it was a little bit higher than what we expected on the pipeline. The ground storage reservoir was a little bit more off. They were more expensive than we thought it would be, but just all the same, we're still pushing to go forward on those projects. And then we find out tomorrow's gonna be a big day, not just for the weather, but also for the State Water Commission meeting to see how we do on getting anything awarded for those construction.
I had a question too on the intake. I should have brought it up when you were on it, but
Yep.
what size pipe are we gonna go with?
That's gonna be the 14.
That's the 14.
That's the 14.
Yes.
Okay.
So 14-inch pipe on the intake from the screen to the pump house, and then from the pump house up to the water plant will be 14-inch pipe.
Okay.
Yep.
1,400 gallon a minute design capacity.
I was wondering where that 14 went, because we lost track of the 14.
Will we be notified, or will we get an email saying we were awarded this stuff, or tomorrow after you guys hear?
Our understanding is that our project at least will be tabled
yeah.
tomorrow. You would get, I would assume you would get notification that your project is extended.
Yeah, I would expect they're gonna vote on that, that they're gonna vote to either keep the funding with the city or not keep the funding with the city, but I expect them to keep it. So we'll know about that one, but we're hoping that, if they table it tomorrow on the award of those other projects, that with this part, like again, with the agreements that we wanted to get done here tonight, with giving the State Water Commission that information, and talking with the governor's office and the staff, we're hoping to get maybe a special meeting where they can approve that, those construction dollars, so that we can award those projects and not hold up the pipeline and the reservoir, because as we said, it's quite a challenge to get the pipeline and the reservoir done in this one construction season, so we don't want to hold off on those things.
Any other questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Great
Thanks,
presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
If we are gonna jet out of here, Larry, if you wouldn't mind signing those, and then I'll take them with me, and that way we have those. And then we'll let you guys know. We'll be in touch on everything else.
Sounds good. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
If you have any trouble sleeping, pull those agreements out and read the rest of it over.
Hand these down to Chelsea. She does
It
that.
will, push you out in no time.
Yeah.
You wanna give me
Thank you.
nightmares,
Actually,
huh?
if I have trouble sleeping and I have a question on them, can I call you about that?
Anytime. Do we need to notarize these then too, or is it just her signature?
Just a signature.
Signature, okay. And, yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Yep.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, that was awesome.
You guys need some extra scratch paper? This is the ones I got the other day. I got keeping these here.
Well, you can get rid of the old version.
Okay.
The new version.
I'm feeling a little bad about how many trees I've killed in the last week.
That's okay, keep on killing them.
Start planting. Measurable.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I think I have another copy at home.
Stay safe
too,
this
so,
week.
yeah.
All right.
You
I'll be in
too.
touch with you guys tomorrow when we get up closer on that agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
ARPA funding.
Just to give an update on that, I included just a little bit of stuff on there. I got one portion of it done that I needed to set up as to the authorization word designee. That part of it, we have until 2024 to enter a contract on spending the funds, and then until December 2026 to spend the funds. So we have some time to decide how we're going to do with that, but just, I had some questions. There were some questions to me about an April 1st deadline. There's an April 30th deadline, and that is just to get all the beginning stages filled out and into this website that I have, and then we have until December 24th.
What can you use the money for?
A bunch of stuff. I mean, it's regulated, but there's different things that you can
How
use
much
it
is
on.
there?
53.2 million.
That's not how much we got.
There's a total of
Yeah.
53 million to be spread out amongst the state.
Yeah.
There's a total of 53
Yeah,
million.
okay, how much do we get?
Who knows? It's up to them.
We already got some.
Yeah.
Yeah. 125 was it? Or?
That was a prairie dog funding.
Well, it was prairie dog.
Yes.
Oh, maybe that's the
That's separate than this ARPA funding. We actually got a
Better
deposit
get this meeting over.
in March, and it was 600 and some.
600,000?
600,000, yeah. 600 some. No, it wasn't 600,000.
60,000?
No. The first one that we just got was like 600 and some, like 27 or something like that. So, and I don't know how they're distributing it, but that was the first one that we just got in
All right.
March.
Okay.
So just some things to be thinking about and where we're at with it.
Okay. Living radius for public works.
I would like to start the discussion on this.
Okay.
I would like to leave the living radius from up to the HR, since we're going to be interviewing these people, and then we can make the recommendation on it. It still has to be approved by the city commission. What do you think? Rather than putting a specific number on it. So if we get somebody that's really good, that's say 20 miles out, would we be looking at getting that person versus somebody that's 10 miles out? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you guys have a limit? Or would it be up to you guys to?
Well, we put a max limit on it through the commission here, but that would give us some leeway, some flexibility on who we're going to hire.
In other words, what you're saying is that if we put a number on it and the guy's a mile farther out, then it limits.
Yeah, that never screwed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we still want the guys to live in town, if possible,
If
or in
possible.
the area,
Right.
close by.
Well, the thing is, if we put a certain limit on it, you know, let's say we put 20 miles on, that means everybody that works here can live 20 miles away.
Could.
Yeah.
Or we
I don't
could
like
make
that, but
it,
Go ahead, you know, yeah. go
or
ahead.
we could make it just
I
say,
will make a comment on that. I have had people ask me why we are hiring workers that do not live in our city.
Yeah, I know, I've had people ask me that.
So
too,
just to think about, one thing I would look at is how involved they are in our community. If they have kids, do their kids go to school here? Are they spending their time here? Are they coming to work here? Are they leaving? But that has been a question that I have gotten, is why we are continuously hiring people that do not live in our town or surrounding our town.
Mike and I agree that we should have somebody living within Washburn if he's gonna work here. But if we find somebody that's really qualified, more so than the ones that we have, do we have any leeway to allow that and maybe make a provision that they move to Washburn eventually?
Well, possibly, I guess.
You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Because it's going to go to everybody anyway to vote on. You know, if we have the ability to recommend
Well,
to hire.
can I just say something? No, I think as it's written, they have to be in Washburn. So right now, you're limited to just people who live in Washburn.
Well, I don't even know if it's written.
Mhm.
It's not
It
written.
isn't?
I don't think it's
Okay.
stated in there that they have to be.
Okay. And
Just
I
the
just think
guidelines,
it's pretty,
Guideline we've been going by.
you know, times have changed. For somebody to say, well, how come we're hiring people that don't live in Washburn? Just about how, I can say the same thing, well, how come people go to Bismarck and buy all their stuff? That dog doesn't hunt anymore. I'm sorry, that's old, it's just old thinking. I just as soon open it up to, I think we need a limit. You know, I don't wanna say, okay, we're gonna hire somebody from Minot, you know. That's a little far out, but I think, you know, just my personal opinion is to, you know, put whether it be a 15-mile or 15-minute time frame from Washburn. I don't think, my personal opinion, that they should be forced to move to Washburn. If they want to, that's great. I mean, but that's on them. But by opening up a little bigger radius, we've got some other towns that, you know, if they choose to live, you know, just, say Wilton or Underwood, that's an option for them. To limit it to just Washburn, we all know that the housing market, there isn't much here. So I think we're just being closed-minded if we
Well,
just
you
keep
know,
ourselves in
we
Washburn.
might get a better variety of applicants or people say that maybe live in Bismarck or Mandan that might have experience that we need. But how is that gonna work, say we have a big storm? Now, you brought up a good point the other day. 83 is open all the time.
No, it's not.
Well, most of the time, but if you lived on one of these off-roads, you probably wouldn't get to Washburn for 2 or 3 days. But I think you have to give us a little bit of flexibility. Our main concern that they live in Washburn.
Yeah,
within reason.
Because we told Zach a couple miles because he has horses. So, you know, which isn't a big deal because that's really close, that's a couple minutes away. Otherwise, we're taking advantage of the other employees, like if there's a water main break, well, the other guy's 15 minutes away, but somebody else is only 2 minutes away, they're always going to call the same guy all the time. You know, everybody should be treated fair and be close by, within a close area.
What do you guys think?
Maybe, you know, if you look at, like, for instance, hospital call, it's by minutes.
Right.
So, and you, wherever you choose to live, you figure out how many minutes it takes you to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody made the comment, I know, remember the time when we had a bad winter not 2 winters ago, Steve Reiser was out at his place for 3 days.
Yeah.
But yet 83 was open within a matter of hours. So when you go to a distance, and Mike and I, you know, we talked about it, like if you live up by where your farm is, you know, you got secondary roads, you got emergency roads, you got all this there. So if you're worried about them getting here in a blizzard on call, maybe we want to just throw it. Maybe we want to look at more of a minute thing, because that takes into consideration, are they living out in the boondocks 5 miles away, or are they 10 miles north on 83?
Right.
So it maybe would help define it, you know, a little bit more for you.
Because
if your main concern is to get them here, you know, on call, whether, you know, depending on weather and that type of thing.
because my son works at the hospital. He was told that, okay, if this storm's coming, you have a place at the Radisson to stay, because they need the help, and there's snowmobiles to come get you. So to get the supplies from one end of the town to the other.
Are you offering a storm home?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
It'll be an igloo. So if we leave,
Well, but let me back up to two. I'm not, I don't think we're just talking about snow. I mean, that's an instance where we got sewer backups, we got water main breaks.
Right.
That we all got encompassed into that too, so,
Yeah, good.
So, and I agree that, the time, not necessarily mileage, but, figure something out. I don't know that necessarily we can even, set something in stone right now, but maybe kind of have some idea what we would want to do, and then as HR, depending on who applies and what qualifications they meet,
I think that's something we can discuss. Let's see who we get for applications.
On a case-by-case
Let's
basis.
not necessarily make a decision now, but it's good to talk about it and, get everybody's ideas. And I do agree, nobody's looked at the applications that, I guess I looked at the names, that was it. But I don't even know how many there are, but.
6.
Okay, but, the thing is, let's see what we got first and then go from there.
Well, yeah, and if we don't put a hard mileage rein on it,
well, I think
that, a little bit of flexibility, because we're not gonna hire somebody that lives in Fargo or whatever, or Minot or whatever, but
in the past, when I was on, we'd interview somebody and they'd say, would you be willing to move to Washburn? No, okay, you're out. I think we need to get rid of that mindset and take a look at it.
I agree.
that's why we're asking for the ability to judge it.
Have some flexibility.
Just one quick point, Larry. So for HR, so with people, with the assumption that you have to live in Washburn, is that limiting people that would want to apply, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because several that we had the last go-around, one I think lived in Beulah, I believe, and the other one lived in...
He was moving to Beulah, and the other one was Baldwin.
Yeah, and the other one was Baldwin, and another one was in Bismarck, and he technically didn't want to move up here because he was offered a job in Bismarck.
I guess my point was, though, is that the word's out there that we want people to live in town. So are there those that are within a vicinity here that you would consider they wouldn't even apply because they're under the assumption that you're only going to hire in town?
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't say that in the application.
No, it's not stated anywhere. If they hear that, it's from word of mouth.
Hearsay.
But I've never listed in there or stated anywhere that in order to apply, you have to be here. So
So
if they know
can
about
inquire.
it, yes, maybe it's each year of them. Even when they call and inquire about it, I don't list it as a stipulation because I don't want some good candidate to not apply because of that reason, with the possibility that, they're a great fit or, they would want to move. So I don't even mention any of that.
One of our applicants this time is from Illinois.
That's not so hard.
But that gets a long ways, but
He can call it.
But what I'm saying is, if he would get a job, or we'd offer him to him because he's got a lot of water experience, there's absolutely no housing in Washburn.
Right.
Absolutely none.
I wouldn't say there's none, but.
But you know what I mean. Not enough for a family, I
Well,
would
just
say.
one quick thing. So if someone would call in and ask Chelsea for some clarification on it, she could say that HR may be willing to give some latitude on distance. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah,
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, we don't want to be closed-minded at all.
All right.
But we don't want to...
Okay.
All
I
right.
think we're in agreement on this.
Deadline.
Let's rock on.
Okay, very good. So
You did
employee
that?
cell phone allowance?
You did,
Yeah, we got to move. I got 8% battery life left, so let's go.
Oh, you got
All
a
that.
thing.
Well, quit looking at it.
Quit playing on your phone.
Employee cell phone allowance,
What is it?
this is to give Zach,
Are you skipping over the residential expansion committee?
yes,
Okay.
I'll get that in a minute.
So what,
So I can't
He
read.
forgot.
we have to approve his cell phone? I thought that was mandatory when he got the job.
Nothing's mandatory.
They do not have to join our cell phone plan.
But we offer it to him.
If they want to, they can. I don't think they have to. Came up before, and if they could provide us with a cell phone bill, what their charges are, Now, what we pay for the other two on our plan are roughly $50 a month per phone. So I provided his bill to see that he wouldn't be giving him more money than what he pays for his bill. Because I know that's what was asked of the last time, so.
So we could just have $50 as a max?
Correct.
That'd be good.
Make the motion.
I make a motion that we have approve the cell phone bill for Zach for $50 max.
I'll second that.
Discussion, Colin?
So the other ones now, the other like Matt and Madam, those are the city's phones? Or are they their phones and we just still pay them? Or how's that?
They're their phones. They have each paid for their own phone.
Okay.
Individually. They went through the city but then reimbursed the city for it, so it was all in the plan. But just to pay for their plan, we pay for it. But they have each paid, once they upgraded both their phones, they have each paid for their own phones.
Okay, so what are we paying for their plans?
Right.
$50 a month.
Oh, for the other guys too, so that is 50 regardless.
Yeah, our first net bill, whatever it comes out to be, but roughly when I looked at, for each Adam and for Zach, their plan is like 50, or not, Zach, or Adam and Matt, it's $50.
Okay.
So that's why I wouldn't go over, for Zach, but
$50
I would keep it the same.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were our phones and they were just, we issued them that phone when they started, so.
My only question is that if we're supplying phones for the other two and we're limiting him at 50 and the cost would start to go up, they're still getting provided their phones where he's gonna have to pay over the 50 with this motion. You know,
Well, he already pays over 50 now, so.
Okay. that's
Yeah,
fine.
he does.
Right, so 50 is the max.
But he's got
But I
his
guess
wife on
if that-
there, he's got all these other things on
Oh.
there.
If that would go up where, I guess then we could discuss
We
it at
can
another time and
revisit
say,
that
well, now
time.
there's a 55, do you want to
We
increase
can.
his limit to 55?
Yeah,
$50 is
we can address that, if there's an increase at that time.
Yeah, he'll basically just get a check or whatever for $50.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Okay, Colin?
yes.
Yep. Yes.
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 Who motioned?
Don.
Don,
Okay.
I seconded.
Thank you.
Residential Expansion Committee. Trying to get through this, okay? So basically, we probably need at least one more member. I think, Kim volunteered. Where you going?
Yeah, I think you were given the latitude at a meeting to appoint a committee, so.
Right, we talked about it. So it'd be Tim and I, well, we'll just wait till she gets back. Oh, get up and stretch.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeti, you gotta get up.
Should have done that earlier, I had a Charlie horse in my leg.
So is that too? I've had one both legs already.
Boy, you walk like an old man.
I am an old man.
Hell, you're a lot younger than me.
Who is it?
Hey, that was a good one, Tim.
Yeah.
I hate to think about standing up after we're done here. It's gonna take me 10 minutes to straighten out.
Who says you're going to?
Yeah, I know. Where did Chelsea go?
Bathroom.
That's
Oh,
Christmas
man.
break.
These women, they drink so much and then they gotta pee all the time.
I just think of the pour cold water when I have to go pee. It's always a shock.
Guys, remember you're on camera.
I know. That's okay. I don't mind. They don't know me by now. That's the way it goes. Boy, you're really moving fast tonight. How come?
I don't know.
She wants to get out of here.
She's the Energized
Well,
Bunny.
it's only 20 to 5.
She's the Energized Bunny tonight.
You don't need that.
Everybody get up and do jumping jacks?
Oh.
Yeah, right. Huh?
Or at least a change.
After you get up and do yours, then I'll do mine.
I just did. In the hallway. I didn't want it on camera. So anyway, Tim knows about this, so, Residential Expansion Committee, so basically Tim has volunteered, I volunteered. Donna Gunderson said she'd be on it since some of that land concerns her. So we're looking probably for at least one more person. It can't be another commissioner. Did Erica talk to her husband?
I guess I don't know if she did or not.
Okay, because she was gonna ask him if he wanted to be on. So basically, it's more of a just information thing, and we're gonna put this committee together and, you know, try and come up with some different things, if everybody's fine with that. And if anybody has any suggestions on who might want to be on it, who they think would be good on it.
Chelsea?
Yeah, she doesn't have anything else to do.
No, that's how I volunteer you.
So anyway, basically, we're trying to get that committee put together, so, and then whenever we have a meeting, it will be, you know, we'll make sure that it's, advertised properly.
What are you gonna decide at these meetings?
Well, we you know, we're gonna kind of talk about, you know, good one, where to do expansion, you know, like whether it be up, you know, where we're looking at now, or maybe along the highway, and then we also, have I did a survey of lots in town that could possibly be, residential houses built on them.
So have you talked about the Heritage Heights area though?
That's part of it.
Yeah, we haven't had a meeting yet.
Huh?
We haven't had a meeting.
We haven't had a meeting yet.
How come?
They're forming the committee.
So anyway, it's basically just for knowledge, your knowledge. So.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. Anybody have any questions on that, other than Don? Second reading of the tree ordinance. So, I'm understanding, okay, we had some changes, right?
Well, they were made last meeting.
Okay,
It just,
that's right. they
we
were.
just ended up with the wrong copies, what happened.
Yes.
You're right, so.
But all the changes that were made to this copy were the changes that were discussed at the last meeting when we read through them.
Okay, the question is, were the changes made after we read it?
They were made during when we were.
During when we read
So we
it?
have to read them again?
We could forego the second reading, with the changes that have been made at the last meeting.
I was gonna say, we just wanna highlight a few changes, just specifically on parts.
Can we just read the highlighted parts?
Did we approve the changes at the last meeting?
Yep.
We did,
Yes,
right?
we did.
Yep.
Okay. So,
It's just that the wrong copy had just inadvertently got sent out.
right.
Yeah, when I included them, I just went back to my previous commission folder instead of going into my ordinance folder and sending out the changes, or the ordinances with the changes that I had made, but I did make them.
Right, so we did approve it with the changes. Okay, so, I will move that we forego the second reading, with the changes that have been made in it.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion on that? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Now I will make a motion to approve the second reading and final passage of ordinance 156 relating to the trees and shrubs from the city.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Next one is, ice and snow ordinance.
Might be applicable tomorrow.
So let's hurry up and get it done. So we did corrections to that as well, correct?
Correct.
During the meeting.
Okay, and they were approved?
And they were very minor.
Right.
So.
So, once again, I will move to forego the second reading and accept it as the changes were made.
Second it.
I want to second it.
You want to second it?
Yep.
Okay.
Bigger again. Good. Any discussion? Colin?
Yes.
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 Yes. Now I'll make a motion to approve the second, reading and final passage of ordinance number 158, ordinance dealing with the removal of ice and snow in the city of Washburn.
I'll second that one.
Boy, everybody wants
No,
to.
I want to.
Okay, Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, next one is second reading of the liquor.
So I was gonna
ordinance.
ask you, now, this ordinance goes into effect after tonight.
Yep.
So the snow that we get tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday, that'll be in effect then, correct?
What does that go in the paper for?
Theoretically, it needs to go in the paper, because there is a fine assessed with it, so the just pretty much whatever sentence it is about the fine needs to be published in the paper, so both of them will have to be published.
So it'll be, so it'll go into effect after it's in the paper?
Yeah.
For
Okay.
1 week?
It should, yep.
Okay,
Yep.
good, okay.
Just asking.
So if you get it in tomorrow,
By Wednesday,
or
it's
if you get it
good.
in next week, that's fine.
Yeah, you should be able to,
All right.
that depends on what tomorrow's like.
Okay, well, whenever you do, so. Okay, now the second reading of the change to the liquor ordinance. So basically, I will move that on page 9, that the change was from February 1st to January 1st. That was our change. That's basically the reading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second?
Colin?
Yes.
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 Yes. Now I will move to accept the second reading and final passage of the correction to ordinance 139, liquor and alcoholic beverages not ready to break. Colin?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, good. You know when you're caught up, Jesse? Caught up?
Yep.
Okay. So FYI, Board of Equalization meeting is on April 25th, and I believe that's at 6 o'clock, right, Chelsea?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. She will be sending out a thing, and then also you'll have to put on that agenda for Eric
Okay.
to advertise for, permission to advertise for bids. And then if anything else comes up before then, have Chelsea get it on there. Because this basically would be considered a special meeting, so we can't talk about it unless it's on the, on the agenda. Colin?
Well, most people probably knew, but we had a major water main break yesterday down by the softball fields.
Really? What happened?
Water main broke. Yeah.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Had water?
Yeah, just a slight lake.
River.
So I think they got it repaired about 9 o'clock last night. About a 20-foot section of pipe just split. Yeah.
And I would like to add to that kudos to our employees and
Yep.
Chris and Chelsea and Eric, and everybody was involved in it, with notification and everything, so, I mean, everybody did a really super job.
Good job.
Yep, would have been done earlier, but we had a 2, 3, 4 hour delay with the one call. Midco never showed. Apparently they didn't sign off on it, but they didn't even
That's close enough.
let us know.
Move on. We're gonna get out of here. You're the one that wants to get out of here.
You're the one whose battery's going dead.
The other thing is airport board, one of the commissioners or the board members turned in his letter of resignation. He's retired from the plant and went on a 9-month tour. He's going overseas somewhere to work another power plant, so.
Name start with a B?
Huh?
His name start with a B?
B? No.
Oh, okay.
No. So if you know anybody that's interested in sitting on the airport authority board.
Well, we can advertise. Okay,
So,
for a couple weeks, I guess, so.
right. That's all I got.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for Jessica King. We're gonna go around.
Oh, yeah, you were gonna do that.
They had a sewer thing they were working on, so they couldn't get to it. So we're gonna, after the snow melts now, we're gonna look at these planters, and then also met with the sheriff's department. What they're gonna do this year is the county's having a meeting in May at Underwood they're inviting all the city councils to come, and they're gonna go over the budget, the police budgets, the contracts, the increases, the reasons behind them and everything else. So they haven't nailed down a date yet, but when they do, JR will call me and I can let you guys know. I'm gonna go up, so if any of you are interested in going.
So basically, they'll go through that and give us a contract, then you bring it back to the commission as,
Right.
I'm guessing was going to work.
Yeah, what they're trying to do is, they're trying to get us, just have this big informational meeting, and then instead of going to every city all over the place, sometimes more than once, and try and get as much information out as they can up front.
They used to do this, from my understanding, or they like to try to do it every couple of years.
Yeah, I think
Is what-
they've tried it, and off and on from what I understand, but that's the tentative plan according to him, so, yep, that's all we got.
I have a couple bids yet for the lights in here in Chelsea's office and Erica's, from Weber and from Western Lighting. And I don't know if you guys seen these or not, for sure. Basically,
We saw it last
Western,
meeting, didn't we?
could have. Western Lighting, you know, is just going to replace the bulbs where Weber wanted to replace more to it. I would like to just do the bulbs, so I make a motion to accept the bid from Western Lighting to redo these lights and send in the grant, or to try to get a grant for the upgrade. And maybe we can do it for the library too. But,
How much money is it?
$22.50.74.
And, okay, that's a motion. Do we have a second before we do discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, and that's for where now?
In here. These lights here, the hallway lights, the
Office.
The office and stuff.
No, she's got some test lights in her office already.
Right.
And they're working good according to what Chelsea told me on Friday.
Yes.
So how many lights go in each one, does it say?
Well, it depends on if we really want to blind somebody, you can put 4 in. Chelsea's, I think you only have 2 in there, but you have the option to put 2 more in.
Above my desk, there's only 2, and the one farther out, I believe all 4 were put in.
Well, I guess, go ahead.
Just FYI, I converted in my office to LEDs. Same fixtures, 4 bulbs in each one. And when I put those in there, it was like, no
Night
way.
and day.
We had to pull 2 out of each fixture because they were so bright.
Right, so...
Okay.
Is that what he's figuring?
Well, here's my question though. If you got a bid for something, it could be 2 or 4. Which one is it, 2 or 4?
Well, he'd have...
You know what
okay,
I mean?
Right.
Because obviously 2 is gonna be cheaper than 4.
He has 76 bulbs.
Can we get that information?
We can,
We can do
you
it,
know.
add it to the 25th if you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
That way we know for sure. If we're gonna do 2 bulbs, then we get the...
But do you want 2 bulbs or do you want 4 bulbs in these? I have to give him a number. And that's why we put 2 in there, or 4 in there.
Well, that's 36 bulbs just in here, so I would guess that's gonna be 4 bulbs per fixture.
Right, and I think we should have as much light as possible.
And we can always use the bulbs
Right.
someplace else. It's not like they go bad.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No,
I guess
the
I'd
other-
like a little more information.
Yeah, the other bid we got was for replacing the whole fixture.
Yep.
And how much was that?
$4,000 for...
$43.75.
Yeah.
No, they replaced all the fixtures?
Well, that's what...
Yeah. Or is it just retrofit the fixture?
Retrofit 2 entryway soffit lights, change 2 exit emergency lights, install 4 5,000 K, 10,000 lumens, 5 leaf lights in the mechanical room, bathroom, retrofit 2 lamps vanity light to LEDs.
So are we bidding on the same thing here? It sounds like there's a lot more involved in that one.
These aren't
than that
apples
one.
for apples, that's why I have a problem with it.
Yeah, we need to have that, because it sounds like you're just replacing the bulbs in these fixtures.
Yeah, I asked to replace the bulbs
And then, what about Weber development?
Well, that was Weber's.
And see, the other one is Western.
Yeah, we're doing,
Western Light.
this is doing bathrooms, mechanical room, everything.
Siri's got kitchen, dining area.
Well, that's downstairs, and we're not doing that one, that's a separate one.
Well, I'm guessing what, Western Lighting, whatever they're calling, standards, they're gonna do the bathrooms too, because they have so many bulbs.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, because here with this one, it says remove existing fixtures, so they're replacing the fixtures, updating with new fixtures, lamps, everything. Where this one looks like just a retrofit.
See, and I think all we have to do is retrofit. All he does is disconnect the ballast and reconnects the wiring and puts the lights in, and they work fantastic.
Yeah, and that's what I asked them to do, but the bid I got was the other way, where they did everything.
Okay.
So I was asking for just...
Wait a minute, no, there's 2 options if you look at this. One is to remove existing fixtures, or we can retrofit.
Right.
If you retrofit, we're $23.50.
No, $100 off of this one.
Yep. Now, this is additional. We got the entryway, bathroom, so that's another $800 to do the bathroom and entryway.
Well, I'm going to assume the bathroom was included with the bulk.
Mechanical. Yeah, but the what? With that one? I don't know, yeah.
You know, we can determine how many bulbs we need in here by just leaving the contract open as per se, and then put 2 lights in, and then if it's not enough light, we can always reconvert it over to 4 bulbs then.
Well,
I think we're gonna have plenty of light.
If we do more, we send in to the company to reimburse us, we get paid for more.
I'm right.
Whatever.
All right, any other discussion? So Mike, which one did you approve? Did you?
Well, I'd like the Western Lighting one. Because he's in town too.
You want to table it for until next meeting?
Was already motion on it.
Well,
All right, we have a motion, and so Colin?
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I don't know enough about it because I haven't looked at them. I'm gonna say no for now. But if we can maybe get more for our next meeting, so we know what we're dealing with here. And we can all look at it.
It'd be nice to, I mean, if we can get some,
Right.
you know, some information, some specs on the, you know, what kind of light fixtures.
Well, the thing is, I mean, we don't have these in our packet, so I don't even
Right,
have
right.
something to look at. So,
Right.
You know, that's.
You want more information from Weber's, or you want more information from?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as the fixtures, you know, it'd be nice to see what kind of fixtures,
I just want
'cause
it as close to apples as possible.
Yeah. Anything else, Mike?
Nope. I got a meeting coming up on the 18th about their wind towers,
Okay.
county. And Mike and I are going to start on the applicants for the new position here after next week. When the deadline is, I think it is the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to start on that.
You have 2 weeks after the 18th to figure it out.
He's already putting the hammer down on it.
We need more information, Doc.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I don't think I have anything, I don't know. Chelsea, what do you got?
Just as a reminder, I guess, if we get the amount of snow that we're supposed to get throughout the days, for residents to limit unnecessary travel, because stuck vehicles in the middle of the streets are going to be a hazard for our guys who are out trying to plow snow. Just as a friendly reminder to not try to create more issues for them than they will already have if we get
Right.
the amount of snow that we're going to get.
One thing too, I guess I should add with the snow removal is, I'll be running the blade in Adam's absence. You know, at least for the main routes, we're gonna try and make sure those are kept open as things come down.
Right.
And, you know, whatever we can do to keep traffic flowing safely, so.
Yep.
So there might be some overtime for the guys.
Yep.
You too?
Some?
Yeah.
Also, another thing I learned at our spring conference last week, one of the topics they talked about was a procurement policy. Kind of boring, but I actually kind of found very useful. I think it's something that I'm going to look at trying to put together for the city. Some that will have to be discussed as to what dollar amount we want to limit it as. I think like the city of Bismarck is a 5,000 limit, but anything over that, if the project's going to cost that, they have to open it up to get bids from either 2 or 3 people what they put it at. I just think to make it a little more streamlined for us, as well as a good thing to include into our policy is looking at one of these, and we can determine the amount that we want. It wouldn't necessarily have to be 5,000, but an amount that
What would this
we're
be
set
for?
to receive bids. Any projects that would be over this dollar amount, we would need to either receive what we put on there, 2 or 3 different bids.
Okay,
We're
it
not,
would be like this lighting project, or
Okay.
something like that. So, yeah.
Good.
Okay, anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Bills. Ready to just review the bills?
motion to approve the bills?
Second?
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
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 I'm here.
I'm just trying to figure this out. Next meeting is, April 25th at 6 o'clock, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
How come so early? Why not? Actually, I want to, see if we can, from now on, to hold our meetings.
Adjourn the meeting already.
Meeting's adjourned.
So you want to do all these at 6?
I would like to.
That's fine. I'd do 5.
I'd like to do them at 7:30 myself. You're outvoted. I know. I'm always outvoted. You guys like to outvote me.